Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 217 of Defining Duke, a Xbox podcast. Today, he is back. Give a loud round of applause for the man, the myth, the ninja, the Xbox master himself, Lord Cognito. Welcome back to the realm of the Duke. I missed you.
Good to be back, man. I missed you, man. It was, first of all, shout out to Brad. You guys held it down. I was listening to it, and you're like, it's serious of Cogmas. Yeah, it was serious, man. So much going on. Obviously, thank you for spreading the word as far as obviously Lord Sov and Lord Kaibatsu. They lost their dad. I've known his dad just like the third grade, and it was tough. It was tough, and I just admire his strength as a man. Like in my family, we usually do closed casket or cremation, so I haven't done like a open in a while. And man, that's tough. It's tough. And to see soft strength, to be able to speak so eloquently, be the figurehead for the family, the one who's the strong one, to be able to, organize everything. Everything is on him. So I just try to be a good friend and just be as supportive as I can. Anything you need, bro, what can I do? And, I just remember the good times. We try to celebrate. My thing was like, get through the difficult part and then chill with Kaibatsu, chill with Sov on the side while family and everybody's still coming through. And then kind of like, let's celebrate like, remember the time he did this? Remember the time he got me my first job in New York? Because we used to have summer youth that like when you used to get your working papers and I struggled to get a job. And his dad worked at like this clothing company for a fabric company in a warehouse. He got me my first job. I was botching that job, crazy. I was messing it up. Then I was talking about the days. I remember when Sov got in trouble. When this is when my Sega influence was high, and he was like, they gonna get me a NES or a Master System. I was like, get the Sega Master System. I influenced him right there. We got in trouble. He had Double Dragon. He came to my house. He stood late. His mom's dad was calling my mom's house. Where's Sov? And I'm like, my mom's like, no, they're over here. They're still playing the damn video game that they got. Yeah. So it's just the memories, man. And people don't realize Sov could have been a professional baseball player. Like his dad was like ran like all the little league youth stuff for it's called Yacados for all of the Boricuas of Spanish in the hood that would give them opportunity to get your mitt, get your baseball glove. And it was just super dope stuff. So we was just reminiscing and stuff like that. So that was that took up a lot of it. And then obviously when I hit you the day before, I hated that. Shout out to Verizon Finance.
Come on, internet. What's going on?
Yeah, they threatened me. They were like, you got to change your boxes and you've got to change your router. All right, cool. Here's the new stuff. And then when I got it, it was just nothing was working. And then it was crazy. It took about a day. Shout out to the Xbox guy that was the support for it. Tier 2 support though. Because once I got connection, I'm like, bro, my joint fluctuated, my NAT's not open. I'm like, bro, this
dude, I remember that during the Call of Duty days. If you got booted from lobbies if your NAT type was not open.
Bro, if y'all see that NAT say moderate or
close, if you're closed, you are off the team.
They were like, yo, boot that dude, bro.
Yeah.
Then he's hooking me up with my port forward and showing me how to maximize my. This dude was like, he's like, yeah, I've been there since the Halo day. I was like, wow, yo, bro, I got the best tier 2, tier 3, tier 1, not so much. That the first one, they were just like, send him a new router. It's messed up, and it had nothing to do. Yeah. So anyway, so it's just been a lot of that going on. So not much. I'm kind of like settling back in this week.
Yeah, of course.
So not much game plan besides one that I will talk about. But just hanging in, man. Catching up all this damn news that we got. How you been, man? What's going on with you?
I'm doing good. I just want to send love once more to Sov. I've had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with him. I've never met his father, but just an amazing guy. A lot of strength to go out and do something like that. Of course, never easy. And so just want to, again, remind the Duke audience, he's been on here before. He was here for our Redfall preview. So, just send him some love. I saw he wasn't on the Iron Lords that weekend, understandably so. So yeah, just continue to send him some love. He deserves it. I always remember when we were doing the what's it called, the show in Butler. And he was in the back seat with us. Like, like I forgot, because I told Laylee that when I was like, yeah, Cox not to miss the show. Sav's dad passed away. She's like, oh, Sav, the guy was with us in Butler. I was like, oh yeah, he was with us. Like, it was like, yeah, he was repping us there. That was awesome. Yeah. So Sav's an awesome dude. One of my favorite people that I've met online. And just just please send him some love. He absolutely needs it and deserves it.
Much love.
I've been doing all right though, man. It is great weather right now. I went on a walk today with just this little thin metaphor coat.
Ooh, wait, that's a metaphor? Oh, you can't have a new. Where? Chill. I'm hating. I am, bro. That is clean. Where's the? I'm looking for merch. Where's the merch at? This is a creative thing.
This is a creator thing.
This is a 100K subs thing.
This is a box showed up on my porch one day, and I was like, oh, cool. They also gave me a bag. I can pull it out of the closet. I got the protagonist bag.
Be careful when using that terminology. They gave you a bag.
Yeah.
You get clipped.
Yeah, not that bag. Thank you. Yes. Hold on. Let me get that.
Be specific.
Hang on.
We gotta protect him from himself, y'all. He out here throat coating. He get bags. We gotta protect him, Realm of the Dukes. For our audio listeners, he's off screen getting. Oh, there we go. See, a physical bag. Bag.
Yes.
Oh, wait, that's the joint.
Yeah.
Oh, that's our joint from the game.
Yeah, it's even got the little pouch.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, it's pretty cool,
bro. That's hot.
Yeah. So I was wearing this. This is thin as hell, by the way. I remember thinking the first time I wore this last year, I thought it was a raincoat. It was raining. I was fucking soaked, dude. I was.
You were fly though.
This thing is just for like this type of weather where it's nice and clear out. It's 50, which feels like
interior 80. One more time. Give me that interior, not to cut you. Give me that. Oh, wait, we got Hulkenberg in there.
Yeah, it's all of the.
Oh, where's my man? Where's my man? UG? Where's my man?
Let's see. I think right here.
Oh, yep. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Fire. Okay, continue.
Yeah, it's very nice. Very happy with that. They're to be clear with the audience, by the way, this stuff literally does just show up. Most times you don't get checked like, hey, do you want this? It's like I just show up and my wife will be like, what did you order? And I'm like, I didn't buy anything. I was like, I don't know what this is. And I'm like, well, one of these days it's going to be like a threat in the box, you know? Say something about Xbox again, bro. And so one day it was like right before the game came out, I opened it. I was like, oh, cool. So yeah, but they're one of the few companies I would take something from because Atlas always has like great merch. But nonetheless, yeah, it's beautiful weather out. So I got to just sport this. I didn't have to wear I've been wearing the one I always wear ever since I got it was the Starfield bomber jacket. That's my go-to every winter.
Clean. Yeah. You got the gray one or the black one? Which one you got?
Gray one. Yeah.
The gray one.
Yeah. And dude, that thing is so perfectly warm. Nothing breaks through it. But now, today at least, didn't need it. The ice and the snow is melting. Took Rufus on a nice big walk. So I'm doing good, just got to enjoy this weather. Sun is setting just a touch bit later, which is nice too. So, I always get up on my, I feel like I'm up a level as spring is beginning. Always a good time of year. So I'm excited about all of that. But otherwise, I'm doing well, Cog. I think our audience is too, because they were quite active this week. Certainly, we have a lot to talk about. We have Fable to get into. We got a delay. We're going to talk about that new gameplay as well. We also have massive news from WB Games, which we'll talk about too, on top of many other things. If you want to write in about these subjects or ask us crazy questions, which many of you do, you can write it over on patreon.com/laststandmedia. That's also where you get early ad-free access every Thursday to Defining Duke. You also get early ad-free access to many of our shows, all of our shows, in fact. Sorry. Summon Sign, Punching Up, Secret Symbols, all that good stuff. You can get it over there. Otherwise, we'll see you on Sundays here on the Last Stand Media YouTube channel and your respective audio feeds. And that just reminds me. I did not write this down, but I know Dustin told it. I'm going to try my best to work through this off of memory.
Professional podcast. Let's go.
Dustin, I know there was an announcement about individual RSS feeds. And I know that people were kind of pissed off about it, even though I know Colin had been working on that for a while because people have been requesting it. Like, we want it for the individual shows. Nonetheless, if you have not set that back up to get Defining Duke in its own individual RSS feed alongside all our other LSM shows, please go ahead and do so now. We'd love to have you continue to listen on our audio feed, even though we are primarily a video show. Most people show up on YouTube, and we're happy to have you wherever we have you.
Got to shout us out, though. I don't know if you saw the tweet from Colin.
Oh.
At least with Apple, the audio as far as top 50, literally every LSM show was there.
Wait, really?
Yeah, bro. Look at Colin's Twitter history. Oh, and Defiant Dude, we not that far for the Sacred Boys. And Brad. Oh, yeah. We got to pop off a little bit.
Wait, I didn't know this.
Yeah, he was like mission accomplished because he was like, yo, I would love to see all of our shows top 50 Apple joints. Oh, yeah, he flexed.
Really?
He flexed. Yo, and look where Duke at. I was like,
yo, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that makes me so fucking happy. Oh my God, I didn't know that.
That was super dope, man. Shout out to Brad, though. He one of the best free agent pickups, man.
Yeah.
Brad doing his thing. You see Sacred, you see punching up in there too. I'm like, the boy out here doing his thing.
Dude, let's fucking go. I didn't know this.
Yeah, this is dope.
Come on now. Dope. Hey, well, thank you to anyone listening. I did not know that. That's news to me in real time. We appreciate you all immensely. So just thank you for being a part of what we all do here at LSM. But honestly, like, just to be very transparent, as I was just saying, I thought we were primarily a video show. And so that's kind of like the front I try to push because I audio is very difficult to build. And so just thank you for listening wherever you do. That is fucking awesome. Thank you, Cog, for sharing that.
No doubt. Super dope.
All right. Well, first writing goes to Maxi Lopez. Hello, Dukes. Just want to write in and say thank you for never missing a show and always being there. Hope you're doing okay, Cog. And most importantly, health is wealth.
Oh, Maxi. Thanks. The love, man. I really appreciate it. Really felt good to hear from everybody. And in the check-ins, it really meant a lot. And seeing people send love to Sav meant the world to me because I wish I had his strength. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. Burrito 26 is our next write-in. Greetings, Dukes. First time write-in here with a question completely off topic. Well, that's fine. We'll field you anyway. I've been listening to the pod for about 2 years now and just recently decided to stop being a freeloader and finally jump onto the Patreon and show my support to the Dukes. I'm a senior and college just recently was assigned a project for a class on U.S. capitalism. Specifically, I chose to do my project about Xbox Game Studios. My professor has asked me to include sources from people who covered the topic like the ABK deal, and I thought to myself, no one is better than the Dukes. So my question for the Dukes is what episodes would you recommend I give a listen for the best coverage of ABK, as I know you guys always talked about it a lot. Thank you for your amazing podcast, Dukes. Have a hiding my Funko collection behind my back so Maddie doesn't see it kind of day. Well, now I don't want to help you at all. I don't want to help you at all.
Funko judgments, Funko slander.
Yeah, I don't like Funkos really. I got one exception here. Hold on.
I think I got one too.
Yeah, I got one exception here. My brother got it for me. It is like a Funko Papa, bro. It's Spider-Man with the Christmas sweater on.
Okay,
very cute, very cute. I don't know how you don't love that, right? You gotta be sick in the head.
But no Funko love otherwise.
No, absolutely not. No, now Nendoroids. Have you looked into Nendoroids?
What is Nendoroids? What is going on?
Look them up, bro. They're like Funkos, but better, posable, more customizable. I got a ton of them. I got Nezuko. I got Yu Narukami. I got the Batman.
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah, I got Mega Man X or EXE. I got Light and L from Death Note. They're awesome. I love them so much. But Cog, we got to point this fine student in the direction of where they begin their research here. I think our episodes with Hogue are absolutely me and Cog were just question askers for the most part. We had our educated discussions, I would say. Certainly there were times the comments would just tell us we were way off base, but I would say listen to any episode involving Hogue because you get the true legal analysis. Absolutely. And on top of us just asking questions and kind of pretty much asking Hogue to bring it to our level rather than his high level conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Hogue was a godsend during the ABK stuff, even during the days when we still did Ultimate, but we had him on major shows where there were major developments and he would just give so much insight. So yeah, Burrito, anything with Hogue Law and the Dukes is a must watch. And then we also approach, with counter questions to be like, okay, if it doesn't, why wouldn't it work? And, we're just breaking things down. And he was excellent. We got to get Hogue back in the Rub and the Dukes.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on.
We were talking about that.
Yeah, especially right now. patents and things. And
absolutely.
we got to get him going.
I got to check out his virtual legality on.
I didn't get a chance to watch it either. Yeah, I know.
That's like my number one question coming out of the WB Games thing. So I didn't have time to check it out. But you know, he shout out to Hogue on a side note. Just he's been cooking lately, and he feels like he's back to his productivity. And so just wanted to give him some love too, because that's you want to talk about another fight to get back to that. That's one right there. So shout out to him. Doing a great job.
Hogues. Love them. Mrs. Hogue too.
Yes.
Saved up, man.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, honestly, I would also recommend just looking up Hogue's YouTube channel, Hogue Law, and just having like Hogue Law, Microsoft. And I mean, this is a wealth of just knowledge and analysis that you really can't find anywhere else. I mean, he will sit down for an hour just talking without a hiccup. You know, your notes might not even be able to keep up. Like, I appreciate you considering us. I think we do our job very well, but I mean, Hogue is like an expert. So I would point you in his direction. But if you want to include us, I guess, you can go ahead and look us up. Just type in like Defining Duke Hogue Law. I'm sure it'll come up.
Done.
Yeah, because we always had his name in the title or the description where it'll kind of show up with the SEO. All right. This one is an interesting name here. Y'all are starting to really surprise me here. Chris banging ladies wearing the green goblin mask. So he's not here for me to ask him, like, you know, what the fuck's going on here?
That is pure savagery.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's a story. I could see Chris doing this, so I don't know if there's a story behind it. But nonetheless, hello, the brothers Dukes. So in the same breath that it was announced that Fable is being delayed to 2026, it was also announced that the best Star Wars movie, Revenge of the Sith, is being re-released in movie theaters for 1 week in April for its 20th anniversary. Will you be seated and ready to go? Of course. I saw this. I was like, I will be there no matter what, dude. The fact that I get to re-experience this in theaters, like Star Wars has been doing this for a while, but I can't lie. Anytime I thought I was going to show up, I was like, when the time came, I was like, I don't want to go and watch episode 1 in theaters again. Like, I don't need to see Phantom Menace. I'm not like a big Phantom Menace guy. It's like, I don't need to see that. Episode 3 is like one of my, if not my personal favorite, to kind of get that big screen experience with a crowd. Man, that is something I am eager to re-experience. So I will be there. I will absolutely be there.
Yeah, I would love the way, in the same vein, I would love that for like a Terminator 2. Like, I don't know if you saw right now, Mortal Kombat did the T-1000.
Yeah.
Like, so that the scenes that they're putting in there, I'm like, man, that would be so. And probably one of my goats, probably Matrix 1. If they ever did like Matrix 1 in there, like, I would love to see that in theater.
Good movie. Yeah, I'd love that. Especially nowadays with the blue pill, red pill, people are like, yeah, that's where it's from. Oh, I had that moment last year. Just I was like, oh,
there we go.
All right. Meat Spin 11 is up next, dude. I just don't know. Like, don't you guys have any fucking shame? Hello, Dukes. I wanted to offer a different spin on health is wealth. Earlier this week on Constellation, Maddie mentioned that he and his wife have been browsing the dumb phone subreddit and considering disconnecting. I took that leap last July, ditching my Pixel Pro 7 for a flip phone after reading Digital Millennialism by Cal Newport and researching dumb phones on Reddit. The final nail in the coffin, my 3-year-old son asked why I was on my phone so much instead of playing with him. That moment hit hard and sealed the decision. Switching has been one of the best things for my mental health. I'm more present with my wife and kids, and when I check in on friends via Discord or Messenger on my desktop, it feels intentional. Getting off social media and focusing on the now is refreshing. You'd be surprised how many people support you, and those who don't, probably not worth your time. I keep a notepad on me for thoughts or things, and this is something we read about as well in the Reddit there. I want to look up later, and bring a Camp Snap digital camera for family outings. If you're interested, I highly recommend the F1 Horizon Aspen flip phone. Curious to hear from Cog as well if it's something he's ever considered. Take care and have a great weekend. I just want to clarify, my wife is the one looking into it. I'm really not there yet. I just had to delete some social apps, and I was like, I feel pretty good. For me, it was Twitter. Like, I would just be on scrolling. It was the automatic thing. Instagram, on automatic scrolling. Reddit a little bit, but I feel like I got that in check. But yeah, for me, it was just like those go-tos. You know, I feel pretty present where it's not an issue yet. But definitely my wife is like, sometimes there's just like paralysis for her. It's just like there's just so much input. It just locks her up. And she was looking into it, and she was like, she's first started with where I went to is like, let's just delete every app that gets you to scroll. Start there and see how you do. And she's already been doing way better. But dumb phones are a thing. Have you heard of this?
I have not.
The idea is just people throwing their smartphones away and adopting phones that pretty much aren't smartphones. and using those to stay connected. Yeah.
Old school.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, it's an interesting thing. I like what Meatspin, the 11th Meatspin, told us because no, it's important. I think that I know I'm bad because it's like you get to a point where it's an addiction where you can't get through the day without checking a few times, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is what he said about his 3-year-old son. That hit hard because you know how like you're in the presence of someone or like you could be out to dinner and then we're all doing this, right? Yep. And we're not interacting with each other, and that human interaction is lost. So yeah, it's something I definitely need to get better at. I've been lately better at Twitter, but like taking gaps and breaks and sometimes it feels good to be missed and you haven't jumped on in a while. You're like, okay, what's happening today? People are telling me like, yo, you ain't see what happened. I'm like, oh no, great, tell me what's going on. That kind of thing. So yeah, it's important. I think this is a good mental health as well.
Yeah, I agree. If technology's got a grip on you, this is a good, you'd be surprised the clarity, you're breaking like straight up like addiction and dopamine cycles when you're not like grinding your phone. And it's why you feel like that added clarity. So it's definitely something highly recommended. And I just put it this way. My biggest excuse was always like my work. I was like, we're telling Laylee, I was like, I can't get off Twitter. Like I need to be connected. And the second, even though I barely tweet now, it's like, I feel I'm still relevant in the conversation, involved in the conversation. My audience is bigger than it's ever been. I'm just like, if anything I've gained since, not literally like, oh, I dropped all these things and I got bigger. It was just more like, you just thought you needed it. You never did though. And that's what these things are built on. You're conditioned to think that way. So appreciate the write in Meatspin. And certainly I know you'll get the audience thinking on those things. Someone else was writing. I guess there is a really strong dumb phone community because some people are writing, they're like, get a dumb phone, Matt. I'm like, all right, I'm feeling the pressure now. All right. Next up here, this one's from me. It comes from Derek O. Says, greetings to the Dukes. So I have to ask, has the flannel started to consume Maddie like the symbiote in Spider-Man 3? With the recent hat trick, that's a great way of putting it, pardon me, of Starfield, Veilguard, and Avowed, it seems like he has had a bad case of nothing as good as what I played when I was a kid. Hoping a new RPG from one of his faves can come along and snap him out of it. Fingers crossed for the Outer Worlds too. Have a you'll get your rent when you fix this damn door kind of day. Yes,
I like that.
Yes.
That's dope. I'm hearing things, man. People are worried about you, man.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this just a little bit because I was coming around with before actually you joined. I was coming around with the LSM audience a little bit, and I'm noticing a little parasocial shit going on here of like people thinking they know me, and I get it. I'm very out there. I'm very open with who I am, so I understand. But there's a lot of people making like broad stroke assumptions about like my mental health or where I am in my life or why I say what I say. And it gets a little tiresome reading it only. I know, by the way, Derek, I'm not talking to you, but I'll just speak kind of broadly in that it gets tiresome reading this sort of stuff because it's like people are pretty much asking, like, for example, why does he not like Avowed? And I'm like, if you're looking for that reason, it's probably, and I say probably sarcastically because it's in my review. The reasons I did not like the game are in my review. And it starts to feel like for me, people want me to lie about things so they feel better about their purchases. And I would get that if I was like a relentless assaulter with my opinion, but I only really give it when it's either review time or I'm specifically asked. Like last week we brought Avowed back in because me and Brad were sitting down like, hey, can a 7 out of 10 just exist? Is that okay? Right. Or is comparison the thief of joy? Like that was the other thing is the most common thing I've seen is I don't review games for what they are. I review them for what they want them to be. And I'm like, that's, I think, ridiculous.
Let's go. They got you in court right now. Yeah. That's what I see in the streets. I was like, what's going on? What's happening?
To me, that's like straight up cope, bro. Like, I don't know what to say. I was talking about it on Summon Sign because Brad asked me what I thought about one of the write-ins. And it was like, I think it was like, can we judge a fish for how it swims upstream rather than if it can climb a tree, as in like games trying to do things that
it's not supposed to do.
Yeah, they're not really supposed to do, they're not trying to do, but are missing these things. Isn't that just going to be the case for any video game? And I'm like, well, when a company, say like an Obsidian or a BioWare or a Bethesda, sets a really great standard for themselves, like they set a high bar, do I expect them to, like in the case of Bethesda, give me Skyrim every game? No. my expectations are never in that area. Like, did I go into Starfield hoping it's next Skyrim? I wish, but like, I was not putting it in that spot. Did I go into BioWare's Veilguard expecting this to be, you know, oh, this is going to be like Mass Effect 2 again? I had some thoughts of like, this could be possible because of the way they were kind of talking about the ending. I'm not going to lie to anybody, but it really was like, can they get back to strong single player gaming here? And I didn't feel they did. And with Avowed, it was really a situation of like, I kind of had no worries or expectations. I was like, it's Obsidian, bro. Like there was, there, you know, and I think the reaction from people is just very strong, which I've always found puzzling because it's like, look, if they had delivered like a shitstorm, sure, but like it's an okay game. And I'm not losing my mind over this okay video game, you know? So I don't know why people are losing their minds toward me, but no, I have not been consumed by my flannel. I'm doing, if anyone's worried if I'm doing okay mentally, I am honestly, because of the way I've reoriented my work schedule this year and just when I get things done, I have a pretty normal like morning to evening work cycle. I feel very happy. I feel good. Honestly, I'm exercising most days.
Worry,
like,
man, yeah.
Like,
you're angry. These videos are angry, man.
Yeah.
The tone's angry.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm good. Like, am I an industry commentator who takes their job seriously? Yes. So yeah, I'm 100% fucking locked in my videos because people look to me for opinions and education. It's like, I don't want to take a day off on that. But I'm doing good. If anyone's worried, I'm doing good.
I got a question because you know
no.
anything I'm about to ask, we've had this discussion offline, me and you. So I think, like I said, when me and you were talking about it, I think what it is in my opinion, my assessment. You correct me if I'm wrong,
please.
Is that I feel you're a lover of a video game, and you love hard with the things that kind of bring you in. That things like, for example, let's use Obsidian, Bethesda, BioWare, right? These are companies who have given you peak gaming experiences.
Correct.
Right? So in my opinion, when I look at you or when I look at the criticism that you do levy towards some of their titles, right? It's because you have not that you expect it has to be that peak all the time, right? Yeah. But there is a standard that they themselves set. So when maybe some things are not met, is the disappointment harder for you because you know what they're capable of? I guess is my question for you.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. You know, like there are a lot of features. Again, we were talking about this on Summon Sign, so I apologize if anyone like listened.
Sorry, I missed it.
No, it's okay. No, I just want to make sure for the audience that maybe heard it that I'm acknowledging I might repeat myself here. But we talked about how there were like features in the Outer Worlds that just like even pickpocketing that are just like not there in Avowed. And I mean, I said in the episode, I was like, I think Obsidian themselves deep down, like I don't think they'll ever say it publicly. And I'm not saying they have to like get on their knees and say like and just take all the shame in the world. But I'm sure deep down they know they could have done more with this game if it was built from the ground up as a single player title. Everything from the physics and the reactive environment to NPC interaction, being able to attack NPCs in town. I'm sure it seems like, as we'll talk about in a little bit, building into game 2, I'm sure Avowed will have a lot less shackles because it'll be built from the ground up as a single player game. But this one was a retool project, rebooted twice, and you can feel it. And I think a lot of people are trying to intentionally miss that point. Doesn't make it an awful game, but I think if you play Obsidian's past games and then you look at this one, there is unfortunately some missing aspects of it. Am I a hard lover? Absolutely, 100%. But again, I get a little, I don't want to come across overly defensive because I'm just doing my job, but I get a little tired of people acting like I'm some shit slinging commentary when I, quite frankly, like I don't script any of my videos except my reviews because I'm very calculated with what I say. And when I produce like a 40 plus minute Dragon Age Veilguard video or a 30 plus minute Avowed review, it's not me just ruthlessly dunking on the game, bro. Like, I feel I have important things to say, and I feel because I am an RPG guy, I might be the best person to talk about it with some level of authority. And that's how I approach it. And so I get tired when people act like I'm just hating, bro. It's like, stop trivializing people's hard work beyond myself. Other reviewers, Jake Baldino, Skill Up, even the press to some degree, man. Like, there's great thoughts out there, educated thoughts with nuance and reasons why they feel that way. And it's so tiresome to see it all just kind of whittled down into mudslinging. It's like, you know,
nothing. A lot of it's confirmation bias. People want to love something. They want you to love,
of course,
something that they love.
Of course,
you know,
of course.
We've had that before. There's things that you love. I'm like, bro, I'm not there, and this is why, and vice versa. This stuff I love to be like, Cog, no, I don't. And that's what I think. What it is you're a very likable individual.
Oh, really?
And, oh, yeah.
You could have fooled me.
It hurts people when, your thoughts don't align with theirs. And there's a little emotionality there. That's why you got to take it as love.
I mean, I don't want to fool myself. If I'm very real with myself, I don't think many people like me, and that's okay. I just kind of live in that kind of side. Like look, we talked about it. Like I'm starting to see people who it's gotten to the, like I was talking to Laylee about it because it bothered me. It's starting to get to the point where there's people I know or who I've met who are just openly talking shit about me now. And I'm like, I can't control that. It's very sad to see though. It bums me the fuck out. And I'm human at the end of the day, so I'm not going to act like it doesn't. I see it and I'm invincible. I've never acted like that because I don't put on that bravado. I think it's unhealthy too. But yeah, that is the part that sucks is like people have internalized, say like, I'm not a fan of a game so much that it's clouded what they know of me personally.
Of you. How I get the opposite is where how you struggle with that is where I struggle is like, oh, of course Cog likes. Like there's no critical bone in my body. And, of course, so I get the opposite.
Yeah.
And it sucks that it's like, man, if anyone who listens to my content knows, that, hey, I try to be fair. And I'll go in on something that I do not like. And that's just what it is. But people will cherry pick.
Totally.
So again, a lot of it is confirmation bias, but we're human, and it is only natural to react that way sometimes when you see it a lot.
Absolutely, dude. And yeah, I mean, there's no need to park on it that much longer. It's just, it is a little upsetting. Like I said, when it's, again, it's going to happen as you grow. And I'm not going to hand wave it away. It's not like every ounce of criticism I ever get is wrong just because it makes me feel some type of way. But in this case, it's like, if I was belligerent, I'd get it. But it's like, I don't think in this case I've earned my abuse is how I would put it. I don't think I've earned signing onto Twitter and getting like fucking threats and people angry at me constantly. Like, I don't think I've earned that, to be frank. I put too much thought into what I do to I think be in that type of the conversation. And maybe I talked to Colin about it. He's like, sometimes you do got to draw a line. And I was like, I'm sometimes just like, it's just not worth my fucking headache, bro. Like, it's just, that's the problem. It's like, I'm very much like I just try to keep it zen. I don't know, whether it's for my own personal preservation or like, I just don't want it to bleed into me. It's like, I do a good job drawing that line. It's like, that's good point. When you submerge yourself.
Good point.
It's a whole different ball game. So
love what you said just then. That's the key.
Yeah. So I appreciate you writing in, Derek. I'm doing okay if anyone's worried. And the evolution of all this is like realizing like, number one, I'll be there for all of these companies' next games, provided like a BioWare, for example, is in business. 100% I'll be there, and I'll be looking forward to playing them, even if I was like not a fan of all of these previous games. And Starfield, I think, is getting a bad rap because I love Starfield. I just don't like the expansion. Which again, this is like we're lumping things together. We're generalizing now.
It's funny.
Yeah,
remember how hard I went into that? People say I never ripped them.
Yeah,
I'm like, bro, I destroyed Shattered Space.
Yeah, I'm like Shattered Space is Shattered Space is I think bad, but Starfield, I love that game. It's got flaws. It's got a ton of them, but like it's definitely to me a great game. So that's the thing that's happening here. But what it's realized is like you got to look beyond the companies that raised you, if you will, like the developers that raised you. Obviously there's employee turnover that happens, but many of my favorites are still at these companies. But it's also like looking beyond and like, now I've been encouraged, let's explore indies more. Like, let's check out different types of JRPGs. In fact, you'll see the games I'm playing this week are like very different from what I typically play. Like, that's kind of how I've evolved with it. It's like, a lot of people are like, we hate games now. I'm like, dude, the fuck? Like, yeah, I run like 2 channels and I'm making a game because I hate this thing, bro. What? It's fucking insane to me. But but yeah, it's just it's one of those things where just exploring different genres and stuff and learning more about other developers has really just, I feel like I haven't really lost a step in that way. It's just These are particular disappointments for me and nothing really more.
Fair enough, brother. I feel you.
All right, those are our write-ins. Let's talk games. We got this starting news here, and it's an exciting one. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 has been rated for the Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, PC, PS4, and PS5 with a release window set for this year. Sean Mason has the write-in. Hey, Dukes, with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 all but confirmed, I have to ask, where's my American Wasteland remake? Just kidding, but seriously, if 3+4 perform well, do you think we'll see more remakes from the Tony Hawk series down the line? Cog, we didn't get your thoughts on this last week. This was something Brad and I briefly discussed. It's looking more and more like this is absolutely a thing happening. There's already the 3+4 announcement date set for a Tony Hawk kind of event. This is the anniversary year. So all the stars are aligning. What are we thinking is going on here? Do we get a shadow drop? Do we get an announcement with a release date? Like, what do we think's happening with Tony Hawk 3+4? And does this set the stage for more to come?
Yeah, this is happening, man. This is happening. You know, like I feel like when we saw the Tony Hawk account, and then do the tweet, and then you saw the dates and stuff like that. They're cooking. Obviously, the ABK thing took a while and stuff like that. We know that was behind the scenes, but the key is going to be, for me, the interest gauging. Once this announcement happens with 3+4, how much of a swell? Because I think they do need to find that out as a company. Is this something that was a moment in time that people are going crazy about? Or is this something that it's so feverish, hey, we got to satiate this market. We got to keep feeding them. And maybe this could give us something new or more remasters and things of that nature. So I think that's what's happening here, in conjunction with the fact that it did take a while, you know, as far as the ABK stuff and getting stuff over. But this is dope. I mean, as a person who's never played, you know, a Tony Hawk, I want to give it a shot. I remember the craze of it. I remember how much it was a thing. It's just that, unfortunately, I wasn't part of skater culture. So I could only imagine if I was in that life during that time, that had to be a golden era. It's just I missed out on a golden era. So I actually want to relive and see why people love this franchise the way they do. So that's me coming in as an outsider.
Yeah, I grew up skating, so like for me, the pro skater games are like synonymous with that. Like I think a big reason skateboarding was so popular because it was like you'd skateboard outside, it would get dark, I'd go inside and like play Tony Hawk or eventually skate. Because for me, I fell off the series. I mean, basically at its tail end with Project 8, but I've never. It's funny that my crimson sins are not playing the 1+2 remake, and honestly, someone called me out in the comments, rightfully so. They were like, not playing it because you were afraid that there wasn't going to be a 3+4 remake is insane. I was like, you're right. You're right. No, that is like once I said it out loud and then heard it back, I was like, that is fucking stupid. Sometimes you just need to say it out loud, right? So I appreciate that comment. Like I needed to hear that because now I got it right here. I showed it on last episode, but right here. Ready to fire it up on my Xbox. How about that?
Hey, hold on. You got an Xbox game, bro?
Oh, no, God, don't worry. I got Xbox games, plural. Look at all that green.
That boy official. That boy official. That seems like official stuff.
Yeah, right 70 hours goodbye.
They don't know about you. They don't know about you, bro.
But yeah, man, I you know, these are such important games growing up, and I've never played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 actually, but 4 I played a lot. I believe that's the one where you can go to Alcatraz. See, that's the thing is that this series got crazier. Have you looked into any of like the Easter eggs and hidden levels and stuff? Like in, I think Pro Skater, I think it was Underground. You could play as Shrek. Like they would have the model from the Shrek games. I love Shrek too, by the way. So this was awesome. They had Spider-Man from like Spider-Man 64 and PS1. They had that Spider-Man as a playable character in the original Pro Skater. So this game's like mixture of unlockable characters, really fun strings, like the arcadey nature of skateboarding, of course, collecting all of the skate icons, all that, the secret tapes, it just classics, man. So I can't wait. I'm excited. I've been playing a little Tony Hawk lately, just in preparation for what's to come. And it's been wonderful. And it's like a muscle memory, bro. Like once you learn how to keep those strings with the manuals, the grinds, and you're just switching tricks like every 2 seconds, it is a muscle memory. Like once you get it back, it's like it's a game you feel good about, man. Like I was like, I think I'm decent at Tony Hawk, and that's stayed with me my whole life. So it's a good feeling. But do we get more remakes? I think pulling the plug on 3 and 4 was because Activision was folding Vicarious into the World of Warcraft, the whole Blizzard machine, which was a mistake in my opinion. Now, if this ends up being of the same quality as 1+2 remake, I think they're going to keep going. I think it's easy money. Not going to lie. Like, I mean, I got to double check this because there's been like 3 different times it's come up where I've like, I think it sold 1 or over 10 million copies. Let's see here. I am way off, I think. Fastest selling game in the franchise, selling 1 million copies in the first 2 weeks. That's what I was thinking of for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2 remake.
Wow.
But I thought it was, I think I'm crossing it up with is Crash. That's Crash was 10+ million. That's what I've been crossing it up with this whole time. But just off a quick look here, it sold pretty well. And I think 3+4 will, but I think once they get deeper into the series of like things people also really love, like Underground, especially, I know is huge for people. American Wasteland, I would kill for. I think it's going to be a big deal. So I'm excited to see it come back, and just can't wait. So not much longer now.
Dope, man. That's dope.
Yeah, I think will it be our next defining? It would be our next defining Duke.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about whatever's announced there. So
dope.
All right. Next up here, ID at Xbox Showcase was just this past week. 11 games were announced. We have Balatro coming to Game Pass. That's already out now. 33 Immortals is entering its early access release March 18th. Descenders Next is releasing April 9th. Blueprints got a narrative trailer that's coming out April 10th. Tempopo is coming out April 17th. Revenge of the Savage Planet is coming out May 8th, 2025. Moonlighter 2, The Endless Vault is releasing in... Pardon me, I should never have had a smoothie before this show. It's coming out sometime in 2025. Tanuki Pond Summer is coming out late 2025. Buckshot Roulette is going to get released at some point this year. It's all TBD, as well as Echo Weaver and Ultimate Sheep Raccoon. It's coming to Game Pass this year. No release date quite yet. Cog, anything on this list here standing out to you?
I would say obviously the bigger, obviously the Balatro was huge. Obviously for them to get that into Game Pass. The ones I got I want to see a little bit more about Blueprints. That looked a little interesting. I'm curious about that. And what's the joint? The Moonlighters joint. I believe Hotel Barcelona was the weird one that we saw at TGS. Still don't know what's really happening. Mm-hmm. But I'm just curious because of the names involved. It's Suda, it's Swiri. These are legends, you know what I'm saying, in the Japanese game development industry. And Jump Ship did look interesting. It did. That was the one where it was like Sea of Thieves on a ship, but then it's like everyone had a role and it's combat. It was PvE, which I like because I was like, okay, I got to deal with no PvP aspect. But that one looked interesting. I will say that. So nothing like crazy, but it was the couple that I got. For me, I was like, for you, I was like, once they show Liza P, I was like, we already know what he here for. And that was all, kind of thing. But yeah, that was it. It was okay.
Good, bro.
But Liza P, that was sick. Yeah. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling good. How could you not, bro? They're about to see. I love it because they're about to a year after, Airtree, like just like they did a year after, what's it called, Elden Ring. Everyone's like, oh, I'm tired. Was it a year after? What year was Elden Ring? Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm blanking.
Hold on.
Wasn't that last year? I'm not blanking.
No, Elden Ring release date. Was that 23? It was 22. Okay, I was right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting my ears.
Yeah. So over a year later, Liza P comes around and they're like, oh, we're tired of FromSoft games, but guess what? This one's so fucking good, doesn't even matter. Then the expansion comes around, right? Like, oh, here comes the Shadow of the Erdtree. It's like, I saw it again in the reviews. Like, and I was feeling the same way. I was like, yeah, probably not going to do any kind of FromSoft things for a while. 1 year later, here comes Liza P again. They're going to be like, oh, you thought you were done? You thought you were done? Here's a prequel for you. I cannot fucking wait for that, dude. That might be my most anticipated thing this year when I really think about it. Like, what gets me going? Definitely that.
That's the temperature check.
Yeah, like that and Expedition 33, those two.
Oh, hell yeah. That's so too.
But excited to see Descenders Next. That game's always huge.
Yes,
or that
they
series.
Did well at Game Pass, I believe, right?
Really well. Really well. No More Robots has always been huge on Game Pass. So excited to see the next entry in Descenders. Blueprints is like that cool first-person puzzle game, kind of cel-shaded art style, if you will. Very neat. Thought that looked awesome. So a lot of great games here. I know there's been some LSM hype for Moonlighter 2. Look into that one. But yeah, a lot of games shown off here. So plenty to pick from as Game Pass continues to fill up in 2025. All right, next up, Cog. This is one where we can really park it on here. In a recent Bloomberg interview with game director Carrie Patel, a few interesting tidbits came out about Avowed's troubled development cycle. For starters, the game took 6 years to make, and it included 2 separate reboots. Originally, Avowed was supposed to be a mixture of Skyrim and Destiny in a massive open world before transitioning into what we got today. The interview states that Obsidian is happy with the sales so far and indicates that DLC or a sequel is on the radar for this franchise moving forward. Carrie said, quote, now that we've built this wonderful world and also built this team strength and muscle memory around the content and the gameplay in this world, I'd love to see us do more with it, end quote. JP has written in, hey Dukes, Maddie, I watched your recent video about the circumstances and details surrounding the development of Avowed. Do you think these games should be judged through the lens of the environment that they were developed in, or just as the final product presented to consumers? What about judging a game based on what it's trying to do versus what you wished it was doing? Well, that latter part we already talked about, but we'll talk about the first one. I hated the online discourse about games, so I appreciate having a thoughtful show like this and the other shows at LSM where you can actually hear some insightful points rather than rage bait from people who seemingly don't even like games. Thanks, and have a Soto's first at bat as a Met is a home run kind of day. Bro, gave me goosebumps. I don't care if it's spring training.
Same.
I was like, I'm gonna get used to that sight.
Facts. Yeah, that's good Met energy for us.
Yeah,
we don't get
after the pitcher's getting hurt, I was like, we needed something like that to just buoy the fan base a bit. Did you have a chance to read this write-up?
Yeah.
How are we feeling about this?
So, it really put it in perspective because 6 years development, right? Mm-hmm. 2 reboots. We knew about the story initially of they wanted to kind of do their own Skyrim in a bit, right? And then we heard the rumblings of them, okay, you know what? Let's refine. Let's, scale this back. Let's get into hub world. Let's do what we do, right? Yep. And I like that. But I didn't realize how much of a co-op component this game actually had. And you do see some remnants. Obviously, we had Carrie in the realm of the Dukes. And she even mentioned, I think, to us in the interview that when speaking to the developers, they still saw remnants of the co-op code and stuff that's still in the game currently now. Yeah. Kind of thing is something that's recognized. So look, it definitely puts things in perspective. As far as, the JP's question, we have to still judge it on what was presented. You know what I'm saying? As much as I love to know the story of how something became something, excuse me, but like, you can only judge what you got. And then we talked about, okay, comparative, which I'll get into when I talk about what I'm playing, but comparatively, how does it compare to their other games, that kind of stuff. All that, I think that's fair to be judged that way. But I will say this. I'm very impressed considering what now I know about this dev cycle, because most games that tried to do some Destiny, I'm thinking of Anthem. I'm thinking of bro, think about any game that was like, yo, we're going to be live service or a looter shooter or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you try to now refine into this very specific box when you had all these other elements. I think of like Marvel Avengers tried to do that. Remember? Yeah. Like that is an undertaking. And then you get thrown into a project as a Carrie Patel. And now you're trying to really narrow in and say, okay, we're going to focus on pillars. We're going to do this. We're going to strip that. And you got other people who were pissed off that they got to revise their, what they were doing from a development standpoint, like 2 times. That pisses people off. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually more impressed that Avowed was actually between a 7 to 8 or currently with 80 Metacritic game, right? Which is still good, but it's just obviously not to what we expect. We just kind of expected that high 80s, maybe flirt with a 90 Metacritic kind of energy, right? Not that it's about scores, but that's what the expectation was when you hear about a brand new Obsidian game. So for me, it's a W that this thing got into a serviceable state based on what we know. And what I'm hoping for is lessons learned. Yeah. So that when we get it too, and when we remember, she even broke it with us that, hey, because I was always like, the future of Avowed, like, what's up? And she's like, yeah, she gave us the little smirk, like, yeah, we like to get more things, done and stuff like that. So that's how I'm looking at this personally. But what did you take after really resonating on the Bloomberg report, obviously Schreier and stuff like that? What's your take on this whole situation?
Yeah, I thought it made a lot of sense with what you see in Avowed now. In the terms of like a conversion project, I think it turned out well enough, which is kind of what I said in my review. I was like, yeah, I think, if you look at it from just what we knew at the time, which was like, oh, it was multiplayer once. We don't know what it was really looking like, what the aim was, which now we know Skyrim cross Destiny. To see what it got turned into, I think they did a good job making the best out of what they were handed. I'm glad to hear that there is potential for DLC or a sequel. I don't think the DLC is going to fix those kind of mechanical issues that people are struggling with, but I do think a sequel would help with that. While I think the DLC could help with like narrative and world building and setup, and obviously doing what the Outer Worlds did for me and other people, which is like, I love the Outer Worlds, but I really was head over heels with it after the DLC, more so than I already was. So I think that can be great for a lot of people. It could also be a great test bed for Obsidian to say like, okay, these are kind of some of our new tools that we're using to build Avowed moving forward, and we're building it with single player mindset moving forward. It's not like we're trying to figure things out. Like, this is the first time they might be able to make something for that game that isn't like as I think Carrie put it in this interview, putting the tracks for the train down while the train is moving in real time. So I think there's a lot of good that can come from just some DLC to sort of see where they're headed with Avowed. There's also, once you finish the game, you'll see there's just multiple quadrants of the map, particularly the snow region, wide open for exploration. So it seemed pretty obvious, pretty evident based on how they sort of laid it out. Same thing with the Outer Worlds. You finish the game and you're like, oh, I didn't go to all those planets. And then you end up going to them, most of them, in the DLC. So, they did I think, a good enough job with what they had. Skyrim Cross Destiny, 6 years. I hope the next go around, they're quicker with it. That's the main thing for me. I think it's important to, because like what happens is when you start a game project, it's made in a time frame in your head, at least, of like, if we strike by this point, this will be something people want. But in a world that was starting to fall off of live service games, and they were watching single player developers try to make live service games and fail, I'm sure that's part of what spooked Obsidian, right? And they're like, okay, we need to get on out of here then. Understandably so. But then you have to reorient the project. You add multiple years of development on top of it. You scrap old stuff. And by the time the game comes out, it's this weird amalgamation of old ideas and current ideas to try to make something out of it. And sometimes that's what I think leads to what I was talking about in my Avowed review or my Dragon Age review, where it feels like a lot of ideas, but none of them are really well executed, where it's just been a game in the oven for a while. And the real big accomplishment is that it just got out. That's kind of how I look at it. Now, as to, do you judge it through the lens of the environment it was developed in or the product? It's always the final product. It's always the final product. Like there's been great games I played that have been made in, funny enough, some of my favorite games ever, New Vegas, KOTOR 2, if we want to stick with Obsidian products, these were games made in pretty shit timelines. Like New Vegas was made in like a year and a handful of months. KOTOR 2, I think, was less so. And KOTOR 3, you could definitely feel it more. But yeah, man, like, they came out with great games and they were judged on that. And it's also about the price tag. It's like, oh, you're charging $60. I have to review like a $60 title. That's what it kind of comes down to. I think in the conversation afterwards, there's always going to be a little bit of like what could have been, but I think people, what they're learning right now is just how much gets cut from games. Like we hear about it all the time and people are like, oh, I wish I could see the cut content in games. And now we're seeing that like developers actually being open, like, yeah, we were going to do Skyrim Destiny. Like they're saying it after the fact immediately. People were like, what the fuck, bro? What could that have been? I'm like, didn't you want to know this? Like, this is information you all have been asking for. Like, what's the story behind this game? Every game development cycle is like raising a kid. Like, what is this kid going to become? Right. Because you kind of you can control it, of course, but eventually it's going to evolve and grow. So yeah, I feel like some people are just complaining for the sake of complaining, as they would.
No, I get you. I just to add on to it. Well said. I think for me, what I also learned is that Avowed's pitch to me reminds me of Bethesda pre-acquisition, because they were also still trying to figure this out. And there's a part of me that it's like, were they trying to catch that live service wave in a moment when they were not acquired? Remember, a lot of this stuff is prior to Xbox getting Obsidian, and then it's going through its metamorphosis. So to me, it's always interesting how companies were thinking when their back was against the wall, and then how now the development cycle changes maybe when you have a little bit more stability on some level. That there's a part of me that thinks that they may have little factors to do with it.
Absolutely. So that's what's going on with Avowed and its development cycle. At the end of the day, came out pretty all right for a game in development for 6 years. Next up here, Cog, I want to get your thoughts on this because we didn't get to hear from you on what's going on with MUSE, but we have some new comments here from Satya Nadella. So last week, we discussed the announcement of MUSE, Xbox's new generative AI model to help game creators with iterating throughout development. They've also suggested that this will aid game preservation somehow, yet we don't know which way that'll be. Now, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella has chimed in while guesting on the Dwarkesh podcast and said the following, quote, "One thing that we wanted to go after was using gameplay data. Can you actually generate games that are both consistent and then have the ability to generate the diversity of what the game represents and then persist to user mods? So that's what this is. We're going to have a catalog of games soon that will start using these models, or we're going to train these models to generate and then start playing them. And in fact, when Phil Spencer first showed it to me, he had an Xbox controller, and this model basically took the input and generated the output based on the input, and it was consistent with the game. And to me, that is a massive, massive moment of wow. I wouldn't say that we invested in gaming to build models. Gaming has got a long history at the company, and we want to be in gaming for gaming's sake. I hate to be in the business where there are means to some other end. We definitely think that AI can be helpful. It's kind of like the CGI moment for gaming long term. But at the same time, you've got to produce great quality games. You can't be a gaming publisher without first and foremost being focused on that. End quote. Gabriel Baker writes in, hey, Dukes, am I dramatic for calling bullshit on Microsoft's AI announcement? Microsoft claims they won't force their teams to use AI. Maybe at first, but what if a team misses a key deadline? I can easily see a future where Microsoft Gaming is turning out AI-assisted mid-tier games. Cog, we didn't get your thoughts on this. I've shared mine extensively. I'd love to hear from you, sir. How are you feeling about MUSE, the WAM model? Did you read up in all those papers that Xbox shared? How are we feeling about it?
You know, the techie in me had to see what's going on in these AI streets.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, look, MUSE seems to be definitely a very strong Microsoft initiative, right? But unfortunately for Xbox fans that don't really want to hear this kind of stuff, this is coming. And the reason why it's coming is because we're not going to affect Xbox guys directly, but this is going to be next gen. If we look at, I go to the CESs, I go to the, these type of reveals, all these next generation hardwares, laptops, they all have NPUs. NPUs, basically that neural processor unit, that's that AI chip. The next generation of consoles are going to have this. Everyone is going to pivot in this direction. What I feel is happening is that Microsoft as a company is really investing hard in AI.
Yeah.
And they want stakeholders, they want to show this implementation and how this could be, lucrative on some level. Let's be honest, right? So here's the key. I know how you feel, reference to the soul of games, the human interaction, what makes a game dope, and you care about it. And I understand perfectly the concern when people say, yo, now we're going to do these models, right? And how much does that take away from the creativity of game development? I think those are fair concerns. There's also a part of me that from a back end and development standpoint, they will come up with something creative to make things efficient, right? Now, which then comes into jobs, right? And thus people say, yo, you just trying to do this to make yourself more money and more efficient and lose jobs. And we already know about how the industry is right now. So look, I see them jumping out and saying all the right things as far as, human, the uniqueness, creativity of our creators is we're not trying to, it sounds nice, right? We have to see the implementation. But I will say it's one of those things. This is where I still have a little bit more faith than others in the sense that these games are expensive, number one. They're going to look to cut costs on some things for sure. But here's where I have faith. My faith is I have faith in the developer creativity in conjunction with with consumer passion and approval. So what I'm trying to say is, like, look, for example, we're going to use the Starfield example, right? We all know, like Starfield, which me and you love, right? What was one of the main selling points? We have this technology that we can make all thousands of planets procedure generated. What was the consensus from the consumer in reference to said model? That's not it. That's boring. Those planets are desolate. Abandoned warehouse number 5 does not sit well with me when you now look at an Avowed, right? Which I will get into, right? Handcrafted or whatever you want to say, biomes, you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference. So that's why I said that at the end of the day, and developers will push back if they feel, hey, this is not helping me accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish as a game dev, right? If this is the only times I will see this is why I'm not worried too much just yet, because I think a lot of this stuff and this ideation, these models they're cool, but they're in the infancy stage. It's like, to me, when I was at Meta with Zuck's yelling out metaverse from, the rooftops. But then when you see it, I'm like, okay, this kind of looks like Nintendo Wii characters in the chat box. Let's be real. Like, so whatever implementation you have, it's on the smaller scale that it's not ready for the prime time. MUSE, make Mass Effect. We're not there yet. You know what I'm saying? We're at this small infantile. I'm not saying it can never get there, but where they are right now, you know, they will find, and let's be real, like they utilize, I think they utilize the bleeding edge example they had. There's going to be, I will say this, there will be some cool implementations of this at some point where you go, oh, wow, you playing such and such, and the drop of a dime, developer B can now put in Joker from Persona in with the, you know what I mean? Like they could do cool things to implement that would cut development time and resources and make something efficient. There will be cool ways, but again, I'm always going to come back to consumer and developer satisfaction and what we judge is hot. Because at the end of the day, if something's not fire, the gamer will tell you, nah, bro, ain't it? We ain't support. Gamers are getting mad if they got a they, them, and a creator player. You think if they see some garbage AI, soulless model, that they gonna be like, yeah, bro, we for this. Like, that's why I'm not gonna get crazy yet. I'm not gonna get crazy yet, but let's see what happens. And I think the last thing was just kind of like the when they talked about you know, the what you call, he said as far as being consistent with the catalogs and stuff like that. Oh, by far, I remember now. The backup. Now I will push back at the people who would think it's. I think that part's cool. Let me tell you why. I'm from the era, right, when I had, for example, I had the Genesis, right? I had the Sega Masters, and then I had the Genesis. When you had the Genesis, you couldn't play Sega Masters because I'm from the era where you had to have the physical component of the old system in the new system in order to play it. So I had to buy this big contraption called a power-based converter. It was ugly. And you put it on top of your Genesis, and then you put your Sega Master System games inside of that.
It's like a fucking spaceship once you had everything connected, yeah.
So I'm from that era, right? Now we're in virtualization. Now we're in ideation. Now this is where it could be cool. Let's just say 10 years from now, AMD is out of business. They're out of the hardware chip game. Everyone's doing the video or everyone's doing ARM or whatever. And now you go, damn, bro, I can't play Metaphor because the tech, you see what I'm saying? We can't emulate it. What? Now you Muse, healer, Muse, do the thing, right? You know what I'm saying? Now you got Luis Gearborn looking as if he was developed on AMD tech on the new hardware that has nothing to do, that has no innards, and because this thing was able to ideate, that's dope to me. That is a way that they can take backward compat and preservation to the next level, and including on other devices. Devices like that couldn't even do it at all. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's mobile, whatever you want to do. That's the part that I think they're not BSing on, especially in a future with Xbox where they plan to be everywhere. I think that's cool. So yeah, I know I'm passionate techie, but no, you know, I'm not all dead, not doom gloom just yet, but I understand the concerns.
Absolutely, yeah. I think with the back compat, it would have helped them to show an example. That's the one thing I could bite on, because it's the one thing I feel like would actually be plausible, but felt like a red herring because they kind of just said it in passing. And I'm like, I know why you guys did this, because you want to offset the reaction, but maybe you should have just held the announcement a little bit until you had just a little
proof of concept,
something, just a little, like you had something proof of concept, if you will, with Bleeding Edge.
Yes.
And so in that sense, base is covered. But I think in the terms of like your vision for it, it's the same thing we talked about a bit with like, this is an Xbox. It's like, you're here, but your plan's back here still. So we got to get there. Then this is an Xbox kicks off, and it's like, right, we're reinforcing what's already happening versus you're putting the cart ahead of the horse, right?
No, that's 100% fair. And last, just to add on to what you're saying, I'll never forget, I've been almost to a bunch of Xbox showcases at E3 back in the day when E3 existed. I will never forget the day that Mikey Barra and Bill Stillwell and them jumped on stage, and they showed back compat for the first time. You saw Mass Effect playing on newer hardware. It blew the roof. That's still one of the loudest pops I've seen, you know, at a day. And people are like, and it's free and you can take your thing. But to your point, you're right. You gotta show to get people on board to say, now, okay, I see what you, because right now it's just all, it to me would be the equivalent of Phil just telling me, and I no disrespect to Phil and no disrespect to Sarah, but like I roll my eyes when I hear the next console is going to be the most technological leap we've ever seen. That sounds nice.
Yeah, cool.
You ain't got no proof of concept. You don't got anything to show me right now what separates it, what's going to be the separate, especially at a time when you are putting your games everywhere and people are concerned about said hardware differentiation, why I would even need to be still concerned about your hardware ecosystem.
Yeah.
I think what you said is a fair point.
Yeah, it's just a little salt in the wound, and I'm trying to stay open-minded to it because AI is just going to be everywhere at a certain point in time. Like, it's not like this is just a games industry thing. It's like every industry is looking into it, and I think it's going to fit better than others. I'm not really worried about like it being a full takeover. You know, like that's not where my head's really at. I do share a little bit of the same concern as our write-in from Gabriel of a little bit of when the weakness is shown and the door is open, it kind of gets pushed in a little bit more. It's like, well, you wouldn't have missed it if, oh, you had trouble testing that? Well, you know, like, it's like
the little slide off.
Yeah. And the other thing I don't trust about it is a lot of it's ideation based, which a lot of people think is like, well, that's innocent. It's not creative. It's just, you know, building ideas. But I'm like, we already live in a perfectionist era right now in game development. We're seeing how that's going. The games are taking forever. And now you're going to give them like ideas that they had to test. You think it's going to go quicker? I that is purely just like be speculating and spitballing. I don't know if that's true, but look, I look at that and I'm like, I don't think this hasting shit, dude. You know, they're already exhausting all measures, and we hear just constantly stories of like, we built 4 different vertical slices to test out these ideas, and this is the one we move forward with, and that's what leads to like team divides and clashes of ideology. And so I don't know if introducing more ideas to the table, people would be like, what? But I do think limitation breeds innovation. You create that rule set and you're like, all right, this is our game. How do we make this aspect fun continuously?
That's a good point.
And so I just, it's a Pandora's box moment for perfectionists. I don't think for those types of creatives, like, oh, Rockstar already takes 8 years. Okay, cool. See you in 10 now moving forward, because you're going to have more things. You have all the capital. When you're making games as popular as GTA 6, you can take that time.
But let me give you the flip though. What if hypothetically,
go ahead,
you know, 5 turns to 3? You know,
I would love that. Yeah, that's the optimistic, right? Like 100%. If that happens, I think people will take to AI a little more warmly, including myself. If we can go back to that era where games are coming out at a regular enough clip where, you know, part of it is the ability to attach yourself to a character for a generation. If we can get back to generational stories, not a story per generation, I think this is a great thing. I don't know if it plays out that way, but I'll be the first to put my foot in my mouth on it, because that's what I care about. It's like, I can't attach myself to any character that I'm going to see like once every like 8 years, unless I replay the game multiple times, which I do have a tendency to do. So it's easier for me than most. But, you know, I talk about it all the time. Like, I miss that Mass Effect in a generation, you know, Uncharted in a generation, Gears in a generation, tons of great examples.
Absolutely.
So if we can get back to that, dude, totally on board.
And last point, when we're going on with this, they are going to have to, this part that no one's really talking about is the privacy and data part, because a lot of this tech relies on the inputs of the gamer, and then they have to be, I saw the fine print said, hey, we did this in the spirit of efficacy. Like, that's another thing.
I didn't even consider that. Good point.
People consenting to data. And I would love to, we got to get Holger on. I would love to have some deep dives with him on that part from a legal standpoint. How does that work? Do you sign your rights away the minute you hit that license agreement, and then they have your data, your movements, and they can iterate off that? These are things they got to get.
Good to note. All right. Next up, Cog. Cool news here. Bloober Team has announced that they have signed a deal with Konami to make another game based on their IP following Silent Hill 2's success, which I believe has surpassed 2 million copies sold. Following this reveal, Polish site Bankier posted a legal filing that shows Xbox as a target platform moving forward, which is definitely great news. No doubt this is Silent Hill 3 or 1. I think it's going to be Silent Hill 3 remake, because the Konami Twitter account just quote tweeted something with, I am forgetting the main, Heather's outfit. So, and they had like a little thinking face emoji. So I think they're planting the seeds. This is probably the one people want to see most next, even though I think story wise, like 1 and 3 are pretty closely connected, where it might make sense going back to 1, but 3 is really well loved, and 3 is fucking terrifying. 3 is, if people thought, including myself, that Silent Hill 2 was stressful, Silent Hill 3, like I that was an 8-hour game for me. I played it last year, and I was like very tired after 2-hour sessions with that game. It is agonizing. Really fucking scary game.
It makes you uncomfortable. That game just makes you uncomfortable.
It's like the most violent game I've ever played because everything is like, even the music is just like throwing wrenches down a metal stair set. And they were like, yeah, music. I'm like, this is awful.
Yes, everything about it makes you want to get the hell out of there.
100%.
Facts. I agree. I think that's what's going on with Bloober. Shout out to Bloober, the redemption arc, let's call them so far.
Yeah. Yeah. And their next game that they announced looked pretty good. So overall, looking forward to learning more. We have some updates on the January hardware performance from Circana's Matt Piscatella. PlayStation 5 hardware spending is down 38% year on year. Xbox Series is down 50%, and the Switch is down 53%. This is the lowest January total for video game hardware spending since January 2020, where it reached $131 million. Cog, your thoughts on the plummeting hardware side of the business?
Yeah, this is not good.
This is all of them, bro. This is all of them.
I mean, I was told it's only Xbox. You know what I'm saying? And you're seeing, hardware being down this way. And, look, I know there will be a shot in the arm when GTA eventually does announce. That's going to be a generational event that's going to, drive hardware, especially next-gen hardware, right? We want a current-gen hardware. That's going to be big. But this is concerning. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear when Xbox does say, hey, the console market is stagnant or it is shrinking and you're fighting for the same space. But we have data now. But here's the thing. Matt Piscatella was also on, I think part of this was extrapolated from what he was on Talking with Greg. And the part that scared me, he goes, sobering figures in reference to the video game audience. He says, he pointed out that 30% of players won't buy a game this year. The players that do, only 12% of them are buying a game once a month. The vast majority of players buy only one or two games, meaning that free-to-play games like Fortnite are fighting every new release for attention. The biggest competitor to any new video game is Fortnite. He said he will die on that hill no matter what it is because you have to fight for Fortnite because you fight for anything else to get your game to be seen. So you got the live service. Did you see how low these figures are where people actually buying games?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Like, we got to really pay attention. We're going to get into other things with the industry, but we're in a very teetering, weird kind of place right now.
We're to be frank, we're in a time where like mega hits aren't enough.
Yes.
The development economy is very broken. There's multiple examples this episode we're about to get into, but there's just multiple examples we're seeing where like you see smash hits and you're counting the dollar bills in your head. You don't even work there and you're like, yo, they got to be popping bottles. And as we see studio layoffs, shutdowns, pulling out of Western operations, like despite having mega hits, it's such a weird time.
Devastating.
Great time to be indie though. Shout out to my team and I.
That part. Salute.
Yeah.
Salute.
Good shit for us. They go, you guys are tired of this?
Yep. Agile, smaller, nimble, cost effective.
Yeah.
You blow up there? Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it a little bit, Cog. It's been a busy week for Bloomberg as we'll get into the WB Games expose. And we already talked about the Carrie Patel interview. But for now, we turn our attention to another juggernaut in NetEase, who has recently, published the incredibly successful Marvel Rivals. The report states that their CEO, William Ding, is pulling investment from overseas projects to refocus on a smaller portfolio of titles. Now, we saw a small sign of that with the U.S. firm supporting Marvel Rivals being closed down recently. At one point, William Ding actually nearly canceled Marvel Rivals entirely because of the licensing fees for using popular Marvel characters. At one point, it was also mentioned in this article, he advocated for including their own characters in this game, which I thought was kind of interesting. Currently, the firm's revenue is some of the best in the business, reaching heights of $11.6 billion last year. As it stands now, Ding is not interested in pursuing games that won't generate hundreds of millions of dollars per year. Now, a dozen games in China have been shut down, and the report suggests there may not be a major new release from the company within the next year. Support in Japan is also winding down for NetEase. They are planning to keep an MMORPG set in the Warhammer universe afloat, following strong reception from recent partners. Now, with this news circulating, Quantic Dreams, a NetEase subsidy now, chimed in on the reports. They have assured us that as of now, they are unaffected and that they are continuing development at full pace. Interestingly, they also highlighted that their back catalog has lifted their revenue to the highest it's ever been in the company's history. In turn, NetEase has submitted their own comments stating that they have not wavered in their global expansion plans. So, Cog, we have Marvel Rivals. We're like Money in the Bank. Certainly time to invest now. They're seemingly pulling out, if this report's to be believed, and they're only interested in mega hits. This boomer bust nature, dude. I don't know. We'll talk about WB Games, who's doing the same thing, and I'm going to just leave the door open that I could be wrong because so many big corps are going for it. But I'm like, is fewer bigger investments that can either soar you to a new level or obviously be massive flops that put you in a hole? Is that really the best way to go about it nowadays? Do you think that is the case?
Seems all or nothing for stakeholders right now. I mean, I'm still reeling over the Marvel Rivals news that I missed last week. And I'll be honest, it hit me really hard because obviously I love the game. That's number one. Actually, I've always been transparent. I've always liked NetEase since the Naraka Blade Point game. I always feel like they have their finger on the pulse of how to do live service and just how to do things well. What hit me was I didn't realize it was Thaddeus Sasser and the team from the US side. I interviewed him. I interviewed Alan Koo. I have it on. I'm like, it broke my heart. Like, this guy, Batty, was so passionate. Me and King interviewed him. The love for the IP, and to have Disney so on board. They had a Disney rep. I believe the gentleman's name was Alan Koo. And Thaddeus was there, and he was spitting, man. You could feel the passion from this team on the American side, and to see them gutted and taken away, and you know, it brought to mind two things. One, you know, from a Chinese company, right, wanting to minimize the American footprint. There's a part of me that did think about salary. There's a part of me that did think about geopolitical stuff, to be honest. There's another part of me that, like you said, which is what we're getting into now, which is you have a blockbuster success where, like, if we'd have heard this news 2 years down the ride, when Marvel Rivals may be slowing down a bit, right? You could somehow mentally process a little bit, right? Okay, it's not in the top, 20 anymore as far as engagement. The novelty is worn off. There's a new live service. This is the peak. Like, they are hotter than fish grease right now. And it just, like, you couldn't figure this out a way. And I know people are like, oh, bro, it's only 6. Oh, bro, it's like, it shouldn't happen. So now when we're seeing more, like, bro, they didn't even want to, now in their defense, the Disney license is wild. Like, they didn't even want to pay that joint in order, like, they had to be convinced to actually do the deal because the expenses were so hard for that Marvel license. So it pays off. So now you got the success. It's like, man, this happens. But to your point, what we're seeing now with just pulling investment and now it just is very boom or bust. And this is not healthy. I just got to be like, this is very scary as a person who loves the games industry to see, and we're going to get into WB and we're going to get in that, to see what's happening right now when you literally have the number one biggest game. You had a title that is punching the Sinister Six in the face and say, hey, we're the new kid on the block, and we're taking engagement, and we have monthly active users, and we're making microtransactions, and them skins ain't cheap. And I bought a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? So you're making hands over fist, and that's still not enough in this climate. What has happened to us in the games industry?
We're talking about a predominantly Eastern company, by the way, right? Most of your workforce is, as we've seen defined by others, like cheaper, work more. So what gives?
What gives is the American salary.
Yeah.
That part.
That licensing fee must be fucking
crazy. And you Americans, we love y'all, but y'all make a little too much money for our liking. We could slim down. So again, it's that stakeholder energy. I don't want to make this a racial thing. I'm just trying to think like it's a stakeholder energy in conjunction with a regional cost-cutting energy.
Yeah.
And it's just, man, this is tough. This is tough. It's tough to read. It still breaks my heart what happened right now, to be honest.
I agree. Yeah, I'm curious to see how their plans go over. I think companies like Quantic Dream, since they're working on Star Wars Eclipse, like that would scream to me like, oh, it's Star Wars. This should be what they're defining as like a project that could generate hundreds of millions of dollars, hopefully. So, I could see that being something that they do want to keep afloat, but it reminds me of what Take-Two said. Like, we're only in the business of making hits. And I just feel like we need to appreciate a Capcom right now or a Sega right now who are not afraid of the smaller games, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they do have their boom titles, you know, your Sonics or your Personas, or of course with Capcom, your Monster Hunters, your Resident Evils, but you get a Kunitsugami. You get a Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Like, you know, you do get these games. And I think all of it is obviously important in one way or another to the lifeblood of the industry, but smaller independent projects funded by these big companies, I feel like is so overlooked because, you know, you can invent new technology that way, new ideas that can be then feeding into your AAA games.
Yeah.
And it's why, like, one of my questions I asked Todd was like, you know, why don't you guys try to spin up other small spin-off projects? And, you know, because I feel like teams like Bethesda even are missing out on great ideas. You know, that's all people need is an idea that they attach themselves to, and then the zeitgeist does its thing, and we see what's happened. It's not like a magical formula, like, oh, that just happened. It's like, it starts with a really good idea, and most times that's found on like the ground level and brought up. So, I mean, best of luck to them, but I don't know. I'm not a believer in this whole boom or bust philosophy that big corporations are chasing right now.
Yeah, and to be honest, I've been told off record from people, you know, OGs in the industry, people are concerned of a crash. You know, I'm old enough to remember, before my time, you know, a video game crash and, you know, Atari stuff, and people are concerned like this. We are spiraling into very scary territory if this mentality is to continue from stakeholders and investors.
Living costs are going up. It's a luxury product. Those two do not go well together. And by the way, hot spots of game development are in some of the most expensive parts of the US, like California.
Facts. And some other hotspots don't have tax breaks for game development to come in there. Like it is, again, I love what you said about, you know, this luxury hobby, right? In conjunction with a generation of gamers who are not like us. Like this new coming in gen, what do you call it, alpha? They don't understand the idea of console. For what? Why I gotta pay?
They're wrong. Their parents raised them horribly. You know,
we know they're wrong. I'm with you. You know, I'm fighting a good fight, but I'm just trying to like. That's how they think. They like, why are they free? Why are they on this? And it's just like all of these factors does kind of contribute to like, yo, if we don't course correct, we're in trouble.
If I have a kid and I hear that sentence out of their mouth, why ain't it free? I'm gonna be like, you're grounded, dude. Like that's it. You lose your phone now. Think about it. TikTok.
Spare the rod, Maddie.
Think about it. TikTok. Oh, you're free to play garbage on the App Store. Have fun.
He gonna be a good dad, y'all.
We need discipline. Fellow fathers, rise up.
Love it.
All right, next up, Cog, let's get into another one of your pieces of your heart here. We have Tekken 8, which has reached 3 million copies sold. By comparison, Mortal Kombat recently passed 5 million, so Tekken in that conversation. Anna Williams is the next DLC character, and she is set to launch on March 21st for the Year 2 pass owners, while the rest will get it on April 3rd as they get smoked online in a lobby by her, no doubt. Straja DePuzzi writes in, hello, fellas. I just wanted to give a check-in here on the Dukes. Tekken 8 shows Anna and reveals a massive system overhaul. Now, this is a small question, maybe even ignorant. Are fighting game season passes kind of sparse? I know 4 to 5 characters a year is pretty standard for this genre, but what else could they include to beef up their offerings? P.S. The premium battle pass items are still dog shit. Arguably, they're getting worse. So, Cog, what do you think about this? We got an overhaul for Tekken 8, got a new character, some big changes here. How are we feeling about what's going on here?
I think they're doing fantastic. I tuned in for the Tekken talks. Got to see Harada-san, Michael Murray. They're amazing. Look, first off with the character, Anna Williams is a fan favorite. Nina's sister, Sexy Red is in the building. Sexy Red is back. You know, a lot of people love Anna. And look, I know the criticism is like, oh, you know, she's using the rocket or whatever. They've kind of gone into this kind of mindset where, you know, there's a little bit of weapons and stuff like that when it comes to the heat stuff. And she looked dope to me. I had no problems with it. And then people, I think Harada had to check some people, was like, oh, we didn't like this design. Oh, bro,
I literally was bringing that up right now. Right now, he says, you threaten to quit if she isn't brought back. You complain the moment she is brought back. You demand that she be reverted after she has been completely redesigned from scratch, including her model and framework. And if she were actually reverted, you say that's just recycling.
I love Harada's. Like every once in a while, I know it's not protocol for devs to go at the base, but every once in a while, I feel a dev does need a good clapback when people don't know what they're talking about, because it's like you can't win. They can't win if they make money. They can't win if they do a new design. Like you can't win. There's always going to be some negative energy about whatever you do. And I love the clapback. And the other reason why it was ridiculous is that everybody that they debuts a new Tekken character from Namco, they always give you 4 suits. They give you the new look, right? They give you a variant color of the new look. They'll give you last year's look, which was the old look if you don't like the new look. And then they'll give you a 4th, which is a completely new side look. So it's like, what are we complaining about? But enough about that. To me was the biggest thing. Obviously, 3 million. That's dope. They're tracking to be ahead of on point with Tekken 7, which I think got to 12-bit, which is great. Tekken 8. But here's the thing. They are taking the feedback. These balance, almost 1,500 balance changes that they didn't even get into. But here's the key. You got to watch for our boy, what's our name? We are shout about Fighty X. Bro, the main issue with Tekken 8 right now for the hardcore is the heat and the aggressive system they feel is still too oppressing. Now, defensive options, sidesteps. They added something as simple as sidestepping from a crouch position and all these other features to make sidestepping eliminate the rush down stuff.
Yeah.
People are like, oh my God, this is the simplest but the greatest addition to the franchise. They are listening to the feedback. That's the key for me. So as far as to Stranger's question, as far as 4 to 5 characters, pretty far, they did announce, they said, for people who are like, oh, there's going to be a whole bunch of Tekken 7 characters, bro, they announced that one of these in season 2 will be a brand new original character. So that means we got Anna Williams, that's a retread that people, a fan favorite. We're going to get a brand new original Tekken 8 character. Yeah. That's dope. Development, you made a new character, a new martial artist. Come on now. 3, we'll get probably another returning character, fine. And then 4 will be the guest character.
Yep.
Come on. Like, I can't get... And they're giving us Ghost versus Ghost. They're giving us all these... Like, Namco, historically, I got to give them their flowers. I've been a fan... This is the reason why I bought a PlayStation. Shout out to Yoshida. He was the one that, when talking at the Collins interview, Namco was one of the biggest partners for PlayStation with showcasing their 3D graphics and their System 11 board. They're getting people on board with trying to buy a PlayStation. The thing that Namco does better than anyone else since their history is give you extras whenever you make a purchase. Or at least with Tekken, I can confirm. Yeah. Anytime you getting them, a Tekken ball, you always getting dope extras at Cinemax. They've pioneered the value for the game. So yeah, can we give them criticism when needed? But I just feel like this is being ridiculous, and they're cooking right now. So
yeah, they're likely setting up for the Switch 2 release. You got to imagine, right? Yeah,
be right on point. Yeah, be a nice addition.
It would make me very happy. So
yeah.
All right, Cog. That's what's going on with Tekken. Let's move on to one of my loves. Hopefully, we'll see. Exodus. This is from James Olin, lead designer on Knights of the Old Republic. Drew Karpyshyn, writer on Knights of the Old Republic, as well as Mass Effect. They've been working on a sci-fi RPG called Exodus. And what we've seen thus far really looks like the Mass Effect you've been waiting for. We'll see if it does deliver that. A lot of these legacy studios, people are starting to see it's like the names can only go so far, right? It's about the talent working on it. However, the news here. Exodus is targeting a 2026 release window, as Hasbro stated in a recent earnings call that they are expecting mid-single-digit growth from 25 to 27, thanks to Magic, a strong entertainment slate in toys, and the launch of internally published games starting with Exodus in 2026. So very excited to learn more about this one. Again, they've been very transparent the whole way through. Lots of Q&As, a little bit of gameplay clips here or there. And really, if they accomplish what they're setting out to do, this is going to be insane. Have you looked into this at all, or should I break it down?
You could break it down as far as any recent updates. I've been looking at that trailer, and I'm like, if this ain't Mass Effect energy, boy, this looks phenomenal. Yep. I'm looking at the from Archetype. 2 months ago trailer on their site.
Yep.
I mean, this is like, it's like Thanos getting the glove. We gonna make Mass Effect ourselves.
Yeah, like literally, I will do it myself. Yeah, but now they're combining interstellar elements to it. So there's time dilation. So when you bring this like technology back, or these changes, these choices you make back, it's going to literally like alter the society you come back into. Ooh. It sounds extremely fucking ambitious, bro.
Yes.
What if anyone can pull it off? It's him. This guy is one of the few BioWare OGs who's been like consistent wherever he's gone. So
phenomenal.
Look, man, in my goat I trust. This is the lead designer of what I think is the best game ever made. So you got me, bro. You got me day one. I cannot wait to learn more. They really seem focused on choice and reactivity and narrative and characters. So try to get ahead of myself, but
I know we don't get too crazy, but it got the feel, it got the look, and it's got the talent.
Effect jog, bro.
Bro, the jog. I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is what we've been wanting. It's look like one of those, man. We're gonna continue to support and see what's going on with Archetype. They look like they've got the right direction.
Well, if not that, then what about a Persona 4 remake, Cog? Persona 4 vocalist Shihoko Harada has been recording music for an unannounced project. Particularly, it's a game. And I just wanted to point that out there. I mean, Persona 3 Reload did pretty well. If you did 3 and that did well, and 4 got ported to Steam and sold multiple millions of copies in a month, I think that they're going to remake 4. And I think it's going to be fucking amazing. I cannot wait.
Oh, we love remasters now.
Oh, dude. Come on now. This is top 5 game for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
this
is
one of your tops. Yeah, this is just. I wonder, they're gonna have to change the voice cast though, and that is because they did that for 3, and that is like, because I get it though, bro. We're talking about every game. Do you know the voice actor list for Persona 4?
Isn't that crazy?
It's unbelievable. Troy Baker. These are party members, by the way. So their budget for the voice acting would be Troy Baker, Laura Bailey, Yuri Lowenthal.
It's over.
Yeah, right. I was like, that's your whole budget, bro. Good luck.
That's the budget right there.
Figure it out. I'm just like, I don't know how you do that. But to me, hearing Yosuke not as Yuri, I don't know if I can something like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Yuri is so like such a distinct voice, and Yosuke is hilarious because of Yuri. You know, just brings that dude bro energy to life perfectly. So, same thing with Laura Bailey. Really great as Risei. Troy Baker in JRPGs is underrated. Bro. Snow in Final Fantasy 13, Kanji in Persona 4. Like, he's fucking good in that stuff. Obviously, he's a very talented actor, but like, I miss the humble Troy Baker era where he could take a project like this and be like, I'm so happy to be here. And he finally remembers this. I'm just kidding. But like, I just like now looking at him, like he's, I'm indie now. Like,
it's indie. Yeah.
I don't have to be character B in a JRPG. Now I can go be the star. So I'm just curious how they handle the voice acting, but I'm excited nonetheless. No doubt this is a project that's happening. It's going to print Sega lots of money, and I will be there day one. Any thoughts on this, Cog?
I'm just happy because you're happy.
Oh, sweet. I thought I hated games.
I know, right?
All right. This one comes from Jeff Grubb. Just some updates in the world of PlayStation, sort of with this next news beat we'll talk about, but really the main one here is that God of War remasters are dropping closer to the anniversary of God of War in March. And this has been floating around for a while, and many people think this is the Greek trilogy, 1 through 3. Yeah, the OG.
The Jaffies?
Yes, the Jaffies, yes.
We getting the Jaffies?
Yeah. So that's the rumor right now. We'll see what's going on, but very excited about these. These are my personal favorite God of War titles. I gotta play Ragnarok to really put that in stone, but I love the Jaffe era of God of War. Phenomenal stuff, my friend. So I'm excited to learn more about this. I already have like every HD collection of OG God of War. Like I have they did a saga, which was like all 3 of the console games plus the 2 PSP games. Then I had the trilogy remaster just because I wanted both of them. And then they did the Origins collection. So I have that on PS3 as well, which is just the PSP game. So it's going to be nice if they do one that's like an all-in-one modern package. So I'm excited about that. And I think they haven't done any sort of like what they've been doing with the PS2 to PS5 back compat. I don't think they've done that for God of War yet. So this would make sense why they haven't done it yet, because they're about to sell you something.
Yeah, makes sense.
There you go. Will you be checking these out if they're real?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Those are classics.
All right. Awesome. Well, I'm curious if free 99 is enough for you to check this one out, Cog. Obviously, we don't talk about PS Plus here ever, but the inclusion of this game, I think, did warrant a conversation, a return to one. We're talking about Dragon Age The Veilguard. It is available on PlayStation Plus now. This is a game that you will add to your library and own. This is happening this coming month. And that means that if you go from when it came out at the tail end of October to now, this game hasn't even been on the market for like half a year. It's coming to PS Plus ahead of Game Pass, which is again, we're not talking like half a year old where like sales should be coming in enough to like hold it. Obviously not the case, you know? And if there is any true indictment of just how bad this game is done on the market, we were already kind of reading the tea leaves of like 1.5 million players, but now they're just saying like you could have it. I mean, this is like the type of brand damage from my point of view that I'm like, there's no way they go back to Dragon Age for a long time. Like, it's one thing to be like the conversation around it sucked. It's one thing to say like some people did like it. Is there potential here? Could they remaster? I'm like, I don't think they do anything Dragon Age for maybe ever. Like, to already be giving it away, I think is crazy, dude. Tell me, am I overreacting, Cog, or do you think this is shocking news?
It is. The timeline, how quickly it has happened, right? And again, it's not that, usually there's that year buffer, you try to maximize, get every last cent, on the sale, you do the deep sale, that kind of thing. But yeah, they're looking to get engagement on this game at the very minimum. And the fact that, like I said, it was PS Plus, obviously PlayStation's install base is pretty high. You want to get people say, hey, okay, you know what? I'll try it. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. Like, just it's like, put eyes on us, please. Like, that's how I look at this. So yeah, it's indicative to me of how poorly it must have performed. And this is a very reactionary move to try to, basically salvage this investment on any level. You're probably never going to recoup. But yeah, to your point, I'm very concerned about if we ever get a Dragon's Age again based on this level of performance. So yeah, it's not looking good, man.
Yeah.
Not looking good.
We could be in a different world where if like the next Mass Effect comes out and it's really good that we go, okay, have this team make another Dragon Age game. But I think the whole idea of Dragon Age not having an identity being its identity was like the biggest mistake it made, like walking away from what the first one was. Even if the second game was supposed to be more of a spinoff, just walking away from that more and more, where if it returns, it has to be completely started from the ground up. Like, again, if that, I just think the most we get is a Legendary Edition sort of moment where it's like, here are these old games. You kind of cash out on BioWare one more time before you get whatever's happening next with Mass Effect, if we get there, which I hope we do. But it's just such a sad sign, man. Like, obviously, look, as someone who does not like the game at all, I got to say it's fully earned. The game's not good, but it's such a sad sign of like BioWare going from 5 million copies sold on Anthem to giving away their game not even a half a year after it came out on a subscription service. Again, you use the word recoup, and that's the important thing is, at least as we're recording this, like, normally you see EA games make the jump to Game Pass within that year window because of that partnership. And that's a really normal sight for Xbox fans. For PS Plus, this is a very short jump, which again is just showing them that like after that initial burst of sales, whatever it may have been, no one else is really showing up to the point where they're like, we would rather take a lump sum, counter losses, and move on.
Take that bag. They showed me that they could not extract any more out of it.
Yeah,
and
they're not supporting it with DLC updates. So no word of mouth is helping it. That's for sure. So maybe you give it away and hope people play it and that they like it enough to kind of promote it. I don't know. But it's just, it's crazy, dude.
Take that PS Plus bag. That's what this was.
All you can do.
Take it. Yeah.
So pretty tremendous flop there, but I thought it was just, again, fascinating to see it already on PS Plus. From there, we move on to what we're playing, Cog. We both have a very interesting mixed bag here. Would love to hear from you because you didn't really get to talk too much about your time with Avowed, but you were gone last week. Now you're here this week. You put more time in. So let's start there. I'd love to hear about your experience thus far. How far along are we, sir?
Yeah, we are close to the end now because I believe I am in the final biome because I did 4 completely. And the thing that surprised me the most was how much I am. Before I get into that part, let me get into Stuff I don't like. I'm going to get into that immediately. I'm actually having a different issue than anybody else. I'm not seeing anyone talk about this. I don't know if it's a situation where it's because I'm in performance mode on the Series X, but I am getting these weird slowdowns in cinematic conversations between party members. So if I'm talking to an NPC and it's me, and then sometimes like Kai is going at 60, I'm going at 60, but the NPC is going at 30.
So
and it's bro, it's happening enough where it's like, now it's lessened since these last updates, but I would say at least 20 to 30% of my conversation involves some form of slowdown in the conversation. And I'm like, what's going on? I don't it's gotta be a bug, it's gotta be a glitch, it's got to be. I've never seen this before. Because it's not like this big, the camera's fixed. Like, I don't understand. Like, it shouldn't be doing that. So that I have to deduct a point, because it's like, it's happening enough where it's detracting from my experience. And I'm like, man, this is a dope, important part to the joint. The other thing I would say is that I think I have done a few tests with what I consider the choice and consequence, major fork in the road kind of situations. I've had about 2 or 3. And for review purposes, I said, you know what, man, like sometimes I sat on that screen like, man, I don't know what to do here. I asked the homies, what do you think? You know, which I like. I like that feature. Hey, what do you think? And then I'm like, okay, I'll pick something. So then there was one in particular, and I'm not going to spoil, but like third biome, and it was a choice. And I just said, you know what? Let me see now, reload the old save, do the other one. How divergent is it? And I'm like, man, it kind of went back to the same end game result of what it was going to do anyway. So I was like, damn, how much am I really affecting time? And that to me is a valid criticism, especially when we've interviewed them and we were told choice and consequence would be, you know, a big deal. And again, it's not that it doesn't exist. It's just that it's not truly divergent. Like, for example, with a Fallout Megaton, right? You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, you blow up a town and it's like, okay, this can happen or that can't happen. Like, you want to see truly explosive. I think that's where, from a hardcore RPG standpoint, it will knock and affect the game score, on my opinion. I think that is a fair criticism. So that, I got to get that out. Those are my 2 peeves right now. Now, here's what I've been playing. So I'm playing this game, and I will say I knew something about this game I liked because I don't do this. I play open world games, and, you know, I'll do a couple of side quests. Don't get me wrong. I'm not doing every side quest. Like, I'll go to a bar, and here's the thing. I'm going to say something controversial. Avowed, in my opinion, is the best world Obsidian has created from an environmental standpoint and from a skybox standpoint. Now, calm down. I know New Vegas guys, bro, you bugging.
Environments? No, New Vegas is ugly as sin, bro.
See, that's what I'm fighting with. I'm like,
do you mean world? Is it like the lore and stuff, or do you mean like just?
I'm talking about I haven't felt this way about a game since Skyrim, that's slanderous, where you see something in the distance and you're like, what is that ruin? Okay, let me go in there. You either scale it through the verticality, you're rewarded for, or you dive deep into a dungeon. Then there's a water mass. You swim into the water mass. You find another path. Multiple ways to approach something. I don't want to say dynamic events, but first of all, the biomes are so beautiful. Shout out to, what's my man name? Birdo, Red Gun, your environment team, when it comes to designing a world, when it comes to Dawn Shore and the beauty of Dawn Shore and the coast, when it comes to the tusks and the volcano and when it comes to when you look at this game at night and you see the illuminance and the vibrating fauna, and this game is beautiful from an environment. I want to keep going to see what's over there and then find out more about it. It satiates a level of curiosity that I have not had, I'll be honest, since Skyrim. I'm not saying it's better than Skyrim. I'm not saying it. I'm just telling you why I can't stop playing. You know, when I knew the addiction was real, bro, you know how you open up the map and you see like the fog of war of things that you have not. I have OCD when there's a fog on the map and I haven't explored where that's at. Bro, I got to a part, I think I told y'all last, like this was like early with Dorsha. It's like, bro, I was on the mountainside near the water splashed against the rocks on the coast. I go down there and I see a skeleton just sitting on a chair. What the hell is going on with this skeleton? Right, let me go down there and see what's going on. Hit me with the yo-yo ho or the bottle of rum type energy. And was like, for those who want the sword, you know, this, that, and the third, we got to pass the test. I was like, all right, let's go. Bro, if they did not proceed to send a zillion zombies, like this game it could be evil. It could be, oh, you want to be curious? You want to touch that?
Yeah.
Find out. F around and find out what's going to happen to you. Like, it has moments like that. Then the other thing, where I'm sorry, Starfield, I got to get you, is that this is why I see why people didn't like Starfield. Because as great as Starfield is, and I love Starfield, point A to point B story, Starboard story, love you, no doubt. Put yourself on that barren planet and say, go explore. You ain't doing it like Avowed, baby. This, from a foundational standpoint, environment and gunplay, and don't get me started with magic and builds, this is the most fun combat and fun exploration I've played in a long time. And then here's the thing. From a unique weapon standpoint, I'm a Destiny guy. Bro, they got some flame. Bro, I'm doing double pistols, one shock, one stun. I'm doing flame act. I'm talking about unique properties, weapon design that looks, stuff that we complained about with said Starfield. I hate to throw Starfield under the bus, but I'm just saying, like, when I'm playing Avowed, it stood out more to me. So what I'm trying to say, is this game perfect? No, of course it has flaws. If you're looking at this from a hardcore RPG, oh no, you are a little casualized here. You have stash in the box. If you're coming into this, and I think it's a fair criticism to say, yo, bro, Obsidian, you are here with peak hardcore RPG sensibilities, and this feels like a step back on that. That is a fair crit. I cannot fight that for sure. If you say, hey, choice and consequences isn't as, I will say this. When I say best world, best environment, skyboxes, all that stuff. When you say best reactive world, no. Like, this is where you're correct, where it's like, yo, like a Fallout New Vegas and Outer Worlds with the factions and Space's Choice. And like, where truly the living world is affected by the inhabitants and stuff like that. They are step behind there. I'm just talking about the beauty of an environment, the best exploration I have played in a long time. The foundation is there. So now here's the thing that also surprised me, and it's the part I'll get into. I came in lukewarm on these characters at first, I'll be honest. The person who I think is a complete miss, and I'm just going to be honest, and I think you nailed this, is Marius. I came in thinking I was going to love that. He's the worst. I'm sorry, Nin dude, no, like, shut up. Like, you try to talk slick in dwarven terms, and then 1 minute, this is where he gets me mad. When you, again, I'm not trying to spoil, but when you get into companion quests and stuff like that, and then you try to have the moment, and you could tell this is where I would say bad writing, but the writing fails this character, is that when you now get into these deep things, and then he finishes what he has to say, and then his tonal shift goes back to default of, so what do you want? And I'm like, next question, bro. And I'm like, no, you were just spitting. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's where, again, hardcore RPG writing sensibilities is where Avowed does falter there. I'm with one. I saw it specifically with that character, and I was like, nah.
He sucks for sure. I don't think the whole cast is awful, but he's definitely the worst.
Now, I will say, affectionately, I call her Horny Time. You know who Horny Time is. I think she's the funniest thing, man. She makes me laugh. Yo, Yatsu is ridiculously hilarious. I definitely like Gianna more than I thought I was. The whole Animance. animancy thing like that. Now I'm seeing people being a little too slanted, being too ridiculous. Kai is not better than no Garrus. Stop. I like Kai.
Yo, yeah. Locke sent that to me, and I was like, "What?" I'm sorry, I don't mean to derail your conversation. Yeah, I saw that shit, and I was just like, "You guys got to play these games you're talking about." Like, I know you're not. There's no way Garrus is better than fucking Kai. It's just not. I'm sorry, no Kai is better than Garrus. There's no fucking way. No way.
He's good. I like him. He's got quips. Sure. Don't get me wrong. He's probably the more developed out of everyone. You know what I'm saying? But
he's there with you from the start. Yeah,
from the start. Yeah. So I like him. Don't get me wrong. But Garrus is like, there will be no scene like seeing the Archangel for the first time, and like there's certain moments with Garrus that it's just iconic. It's next level. Now I will say, and again, with the game, I felt like, damn it, they were so close to doing so. I should say, cool. This game has potential to be great with the next joint. Like the foundation is there, but the problem is like now, like what I've seen is like until you get everybody, then the camp thing actually adds a little bit flavor because they're actually talking amongst themselves and stuff like that. In the beginning, I'm like, it could have been more here, that kind of stuff. But like I said, core gameplay mechanics. I've done every biome from Dawn Shore all the way through. I'm at the final area. I will say now it's starting to pick. I want to see where they go with said entity and where, because there's a lot of theology, gods, and pillars universe stuff. And this is, as a person who doesn't come from this, I didn't know what the hell it was. I was like, wow, people talking to me in my sleep. What the hell going on? So that first was the weak part of the game, but I was just like, I don't. Now for a pillars guy, you may think, oh, bro, they doing it. They talking to Amun Ra. Like, oh, okay. For me, I'm like, plant people, Scourge. Okay, bro. I say like, that's where I'm at. So look, this is what I want. I think I actually got to beat it. And then that will be so I'm at the, I just wanted to take my time because I was like really I was trying to beat it before this cast, but because of my schedule and everything that's been going on with me, I was like, you know what? Take your time. And I've just been thoroughly going through every single biome, every single side quest, every single treasure chest. The game is extremely rewarding. And I'll just say, look, the game is fun. It's for me. I really enjoy this joint. Now I just got to see how they land. And then what I'm hoping is what we talked about. Lessons learned. You've got a great foundation. Add on a deep dive now with these hardcore more elements. Deep dive with this writing. Deep dive with these characters and stuff like that. And maybe, you can have something really special for DLC or Avowed 2 or whatever. Because I do think this game has a lot of potential. But that was pretty much I'm at the end and I'm close to the end and I just want to see how they land it and hopefully it lands better than I heard you guys, obviously did not like the land as much. Oh, and I like the boss battle. I like the boss. Yo, they was two ogres that was giving me the business. I was having a lot of fun. But anyway, enough about that. And then the second thing I've been playing was the collection. Marvel collection, because I do support, the fighting games that missed the platform.
Yes.
I do pick them up and I do buy them and I do play them. And oh man, Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel Heroes. Oh man, so fun to play. But there was one particular game that I'm embarrassed. Like I never knew about. I never knew there was a Punisher beat 'em up.
I learned about it through that announcement. Yeah, I was like, what is this?
What is this? I'm playing this. I'm like, it's so fun. It's trying to be Final Fight. And then he's got a gun once in a while, and then he's murdering people once in a while. So I'm like, this must have been controversial for its time to be killing people with guns in this game. Yeah, so I just thought about it. That Nick Fury is like player 2 and all this other stuff. Look, it's simple. It's just one of those, as an OG, I remember this era of the Final Fights, the Streets of Rage. The beat 'em up was a thing. And to see them have the Punisher license, which is a very rare and hard license to get, in this package was kind of interesting to me. So I've been playing that. So those have been the 2 games, but I hopefully will get Avowed done next week. But you've been playing something that you seem to be excited about.
Yeah. So a lot of this year, has been finally tackling games that I've been missing out on, embracing classics as well. Because this top out of the year was busy, but like that wave is done until like, I guess April for me. I mean, I was talking to Gene about it. I was like, I might review Assassin's Creed. I don't know if I'll get a code for it, but if I do, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Just that preview put me off enough where I'm like, am I really stepping into this game feeling neutral like I usually do with my reviews? If I felt like that put off by a preview, it's like probably not fair for the game, like, I'll be honest, like, probably not fair for the game. So I'm kind of looking at it as like, I'm a free man for the rest of February and into March.
Time.
And I'm like, all right, there's lots of stuff to play still. So I have one new game and one newish game that I've been putting off for a while. I remember I got it for Christmas and it's been sitting on my shelf sealed. I've been playing Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Wow, yeah. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, and that is one I've been wanting to play for a while. I remember when this got announced, I was very excited about it. Gave me that same feeling Ori did, where I was like, oh, I'm feeling things. I feel like I see all of the origins, all of the inspiration for it. This feels different. Now, I'm a huge like Pixar fan, for example, and Kena is made by a team of animators. Like they moved from film to games to make this. It's a team of 10. And I am fucking blown away, bro. I played this game for 5 hours straight the other night. And I don't want to get too out of myself because I want to see what it fully has to offer. But, bro, from presentation to the cutscenes to very old school style gameplay in a way I appreciate and I miss. I'm not going to sell it like it's top tier, but I think there's some real depth to the combat as I'll get into. I'm like really fucking impressed.
Wow.
I regret strongly I didn't jump on this thing at launch. I'm glad I got to catch up now where there's this anniversary update. It adds like new masks and outfits that you can unlock and stuff. So there's like bonus collectibles around their kind of semi-open map. But the other reason I wanted to try this out is after my preview for South of Midnight went live and I was very high on it, my friend was like, you should check out Kena so that you can kind of compare and contrast these two because a lot of the ideas you discussed sound like it's from that game. And I was already a fan of a game called Spiritfarer, which is from the developers of 33 Immortals. So these all share ideas where I was like, you know what? For the benefit of the review for South of Midnight, I also feel like this is a good game to fire up now and play and identify like what it does. And I don't know if these are going to be one-to-one comparable, but I think it's like a good thing to have in the tuck sort of as a reference point. And compare and contrast because that helps me kind of parse through things when I'm reviewing. So I thought it was a good time to play it. Nice. And I got to say, man, it's just hitting right. Yeah, the story is very, very good. I think it goes in like acts, and I finished the first act, we'll say. And bro, I was moved and I was tearing a little bit. Like I was like,
oh wow,
I was like, wow, this is beautiful stuff, man. Like it is that just. The theme of the game is strong, right? You are a spirit guide and you're moving people into the afterlife. And the people you're moving in look like people. And there's times the game kind of plays to you a bit where you forget for a moment that they're actually gone. And when you have that goodbye moment, I'm like, wow, that was so powerful. So the story's been really kicking my ass. But the gameplay, I mean, it's like I'm playing in a good old OG Xbox PS2 style game. Like it's got pretty neat beat 'em up combat, light attack, heavy attack, dodge button. Bro, these boss fights though, I was not ready. These boss fights are so hard. I was getting fucking whooped at certain points. I was getting whooped. And I loved it. I was like, oh, now it's pushing the, like, okay, you're going to challenge me. Like, let's see if we can push the limits of the combat system. And you can. Like, I was using the rot hammer and slamming the ground and shooting out rot at this enemy and then jumping on them while they were staggered. I was like, there's fucking tech in this game, bro. Like, why is there tech in this game? And I got to say, man, if there's like one thing that we answered a question earlier. I forgot to put this in there about like development environments and if they influence review scores. I do consider team size maybe a little more heavily than others. Like if you're a team of 10 and you're doing what this game's doing, well, I want to see what you're doing when you double that team size. I want to see what you're doing like from the ground up. Like, oh, you built all your tools. Like the fact that you were figuring things out and making this game along the way, at least right now. Again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but wow, really good showing here.
I like that.
So yeah, I've been playing that. A little bit of a palate cleanser title because I just finished Final Fantasy X-2, which is a JRPG bite size that was 25 hours long. So I was like, let me kind of stick with this clip of like 20-ish hour games. I've been enjoying that feeling of just like, because I've been playing a lot of long games lately. 2024 was all long games. And I love the adventure, but I feel like for the sake of future reviews, it's like, let me just take this time to really just hit games that are like bite-sized in this compared to what I usually play. Being able to say I played a game and beat it in a week is like cool. It's like nice. This isn't like a month long, like a metaphor. I love the metaphor, but metaphor took me into the depths of December, bro. That was crazy. You know, I think Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is going to be that game for me as well. I'm just kind of chipping along as I hit other things. That's kind of my like, it's really my A game, but it's, you know, I bet I've been enjoying just like diving a night into Kena and Kena and knowing that, you know, I like, I'm probably a quarter of the way through the game already. Like, cool. It's a good feeling. You know, I need that a little bit more. And my goal this year is again to kind of have that bounce between AAA and indie throughout the year. Just kind of keep rebounding, like my man Cog. So
got to do it, bro. You have to, man. Not to cut you
you're
because
good.
It's good. It's a good palate cleanse. I will say that to go back on Avowed thing is that what surprised me is I didn't think it was this long if you play it that way. I thought I was going to have, I'm like, you supposed to be hub world, bro. You supposed to be small.
It's surprisingly like their biggest game.
Exactly. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And to your point, again, not to add on, is that I forgot to ask you this. I know I'm encroaching.
No, you're not at all. Go ahead.
I did want to ask for your Avowed quickly, what build you did? Because, bro, the builds I got are wild crazy right now, bro. I got this where I put the seal on the ground, right? And I usually do it from a mountain. I do it from a mountaintop like a Moses, and then I'll do the Raj Rito, and then he'll bring a fireball of
you just see it just dropping down slowly.
And then I leave flame spots, and then I got a shield with you. I like they designed it so you could be OP. Yeah. So I'm just curious. I was like, because the way you would describe, you was having really fun with the combat in the Kenna joint. So I was just curious and on that, and then I was just curious. I forgot to ask you what build you were going with Avowed. I was just curious.
Yeah, I was going with. I started with a gun and a grimoire because I just was like, this is just cool. Like, you know, you get the ability to kind of spell weave and then use a gun. Eventually, I moved into the two-handed build. I started with sword and board, then moved to the grimoire and the gun. Then I moved to two-handed and found the gift that is barbaric shout and used that for a lot of the game. And that shit is.
I heard that is busted.
Completely busted. Completely.
I heard they had to nerf it.
I moved off of it because I was like, I am hurting the game by using this so much. But the way they patched it by the time you're playing it now, Cog. But when during reviews, you'll know because you played it a little bit during that period. But like these enemies were kind of spongy, bro.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of felt like a necessity after a certain point in time to stun them and to actually do meaningful damage, especially because with the tiers within the tiers of like difficulty, it was a little tough at times where I was like, this isn't tough because of mechanics, but it's more like I'm fucking wailing on you, bro, and you're barely going down. So that's what I ended up settling on. By the end, I kind of defined myself as like a battle mage. I had this big two-handed hammer. Bro, I was swinging for huge damage very slowly. Then I would just bring in a huge fireball out of nowhere. It'd be, you know, I was just thinking of my enemies being like, oh, you could do that too? What the hell? Like, you know, that's kind of the vibe I was going for. Like, you can also summon huge fireballs and swing home runs off our heads.
And go invisible. Like, I just picked the invisible. Did you ever use the invisible?
No, I actually never tried that. No.
Bro, the invisible was straight busted.
You just like stealth take down everyone?
You literally sneak up. All it's doing is taking your essence away slowly. You could go into a whole camp and then just set it on. Now, once you do your stealth kill, you've revealed yourself and then the rest. But it's still like...
You still get the target like the healer right away.
It's insane, the stuff I was doing. But yeah, I just had to... I forgot I was meaning to ask you your builds. That was my question on that.
Yeah, no. On Kena and its combat, like they have good enemy variety so far. Like they'll have a shielded enemy. They'll have beefier enemies that have like way better range. And as my moveset expands, it feels like a pretty good balance. Like, yeah, I'm super impressed. And I mean, it makes sense. Again, I was very big on the game when I first saw it announced. And I want to say this came out in 2021, where I know I'm years behind on it. Definitely, like I said, I'm trying to clear out, like I have a stack of games next to me. Like up next after Kena is System Shock. You know, that's one I want to hit as well. Yeah. So there's a lot of classics and I'm going to be doing the System Shock remake because I read that that is a great remake. It doesn't really jeopardize anything at all. But yeah, both classics and like modern releases I've missed. I'm trying to hit these finally.
It looks cool, man. I have to admit, I'm looking at it right now.
I
remember seeing it.
This game.
Yeah, it does. It does look cool. Light attack, heavy attack. It got that Disney feel like that, but it looks cool.
Yeah, it is. When you're if you're like me and you love like Pixar, when you're looking for a game that fits that mold, look here. It really, I think, is special. And hey, it's on Xbox, by the way. So, you know, it originally started as a PS5 exclusive, but it's on Xbox. So been playing that. That's been a really great time. And also, I just gotta say, visually, wow. Not just the cutscenes, but I'm talking like bro. You know me, I am a frame rate first guy. I'm in quality mode on this thing because it looks that good. Like when I'm running through, when I'm watching the foliage react to me walking through, I'm seeing the light peering through the trees. It is a beautiful video game on just a visual front. It's beautiful story-wise. It's beautiful. The music is super distinct. Buddy of mine was telling me, I need to get the full information on it, but they went to a particular part of the world where this instrument set was like only available. They also found like the main actress for Kana there as well. So there's a whole story behind this game I want to learn more about. But yeah, just thoroughly impressed with my first 5 hours of the game. The other game I'm playing that I started just last night briefly, I finished working on my game and I was like, Kodaka-san, save me. That's what I said to my team because I was like, I'm off to see Danganronpa creators' next game. And here comes Tribe 9. Now, I got to shout out a write-in we got on Summon Sign. Someone wrote in and was like, Maddie, you got to check this thing out. This is their next game, and it's really good. In fact, this person had the audacity to say this is their best game since Danganronpa V3, which, for those who don't know, I hold V3 in very high regard. I have not enjoyed, outside of the Somnium Files, I have not enjoyed a visual novel style game as much since that game came out. And that was 2017. To me, V3 and just Danganronpa as a whole, as Cog knows, is on such a pedestal for me. Now, since Danganronpa V3, Kazutaka Kodaka went on to make Tokyo games. And, you know, it hasn't been, I think, all great stuff. There was World's End Club, which was not good. There was Master Archive Detectives Raincode, which I was coping a little bit. I was trying to love it, but it's just like you don't have the attachment to the mysteries quite like you do in Danganronpa. Like it has interesting mysteries to solve, but like the characters that are involved are what gives it the personal investment. And that's missing in Raincode, at least in the front half of the game that I played, where I still haven't finished it. But here comes Tribe 9. This is what's interesting is this is from Akatsu Games as well. And they're the ones who made Zero Escape. And to me, like Zero Escape and Danganronpa are like two peas in a pod. These are two fucking incredible visual novel series that were like right next to each other on the Vita. I played them both around the same time in my life, and I'll always remember them. They are incredible, well thought out video games. So here comes this amazing collaboration, right? It's an action RPG, and I gotta admit, I've committed the greatest sin of gaming. It's a gacha title.
Really?
Yeah. And it feels like it was a single player game that they kind of like didn't get the marketing for, so they're like, freemium. You know, got it. Perfect.
Okay.
I admit, because I am so totally against these things, but it really is like I watched reviews, and you know what the best sales pitch was? I was watching gacha tubers lose their fucking mind over this game because they're like, yeah, the gacha sucks, bro. I can't wheel this game. I'm like,
he's like, yes,
yeah, go, leave.
You're not welcome here.
And then I watched the YouTuber, bro. I don't mean this is a disrespectful way, but this guy was like, he's like, I'm not a story gamer at all. He's like, I don't care at all. He's like, apparently the story is amazing though. I'm like, dude, I was like, this side of gaming is like fucking gonna give me some sort of chronic
illness. You have a condition? Yeah. So I don't do this story stuff,
I skip all the cutscenes. I'm like, you fucking what? You psychopath!
I go front. I am very judgmental with that. I will. Me and you share that. This is old manable. How dare you skip all the cutscenes?
Go ahead. Play through one. You're skipping cutscenes to play a gacha game, bro.
I even get mad when people be like, I turn the music off. I just play the game and I don't want to hear any sound.
I got a friend who does that, and I tell him all the time. I'm like, do you hate life? Like, is there something wrong? Like,
I'm with you, bro. I am very judgmental on anti-narrative cinema skipping for the first time, not paying attention. Like, bro, what are we doing,
dude? So
raised you.
I know, right? I'm like, you have no respect for the medium that you're making your fucking bread off of, bro. Like, what? But nonetheless,
apparently has a good story.
All we care about are polls. This is crazy to me. I haven't gotten into the gacha stuff, to be fair, but I was playing it last night on my Steam Deck. I played the first hour and a half because it was like pretty late. Played the first hour and a half. I like the idea that's here, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you start off the game and you load into a game, right? So you're loading in as Hiro Kuronaka, And it starts off like a Dragon Quest inspired thing. Like it's all 8-bit pixel art. You're walking around this world. You're talking to this goddess and she's like, go talk to the item merchant. And you're slowly becoming cognizant as you're exploring this world. And then all of a sudden these 16-bit characters enter the world. And you're like, oh, I'm going to go talk to the goddess. Tell her what I saw. And as you go along, this is again the first like 10 minutes of the game. So I'm not spoiling too much for anybody, but like the illusion is broken. And all of a sudden, the art style transfers to this 16-bit style.
Yeah, oh, it's fire. That's part I'm looking at. I'm like,
and all these 8-bit houses that were flat on the ground based on the art style are now like props standing up in the environment. It's like a Square Enix HD 2D kind of thing.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, those props fall forward and you realize you were like living in a game world for 2 years.
It's literally a game world.
Yeah.
Game world.
So like, you're still in some sort of game world. And it's just, again, it's Kazutaka Kodaka and like his story design, his scenario design. He is a huge plot twist guy. Like I almost define him as like the M. Night Shyamalan of fucking gaming in the sense that he's just got the most ridiculous stories. I think he has a better track record than M. Night. But my point being is like, he's just got that plot twist addiction. Like this guy wants to just, and right away I'm like, oh, I didn't know this. Like this is such a great idea. I was like, oh, I'm in. But it's got a very interesting presentation style that has me wanting to play more. So you have the 16-bit characters and they're animated while they're talking and you have portraits that'll show up. And then all of a sudden the camera will zoom in to one of these characters and then they're in a 3D environment and they're well animated and they're talking and they're lively. I'm like, so you have 3 different art styles that slap you in the face right off the bat. I'm like, this is different, dude. This is different.
It looks cool. It looks cool.
It got mixed reviews on Steam at launch because they had a beta. The beta was really loved. It comes out, they did the bait and switch, right? They did the gotcha bait and switch. Now I'm reading these reviews, though. The reason I downloaded it last night is people were like, they listened, they fixed it. It's good now. They're actually giving us more than ever before. So they've adjusted. Like, y'all know me. I am not going to get into this whole type of re-rolling shit. I am here purely for the story. I'll do an obscure shout out for my Tales of Christoria fans out there. You know where I'm coming from. All right. I'm not wailing out on this game. I'm not spending money on it. Tales of Christoria had a really fucking good story though. And I was there for every episode. If this game is about to do that, I will be there for it. But I got to see what happens because it's got action combat, very stylish, very good presentation. I'm very surprised that this is like any sort of involvement with the Danganronpa creators because like they're known for very beautiful illustrations.
I'm like, why you ain't put me onto this?
It's a gotcha game. Otherwise, I would have.
I was like, this would have got me bored and I would enjoy it. But wait, this don't have no like murder mystery. 9 people gonna make it down to 8 people gonna make it.
I don't know yet. Apparently, there are murder mysteries in this. I mean, that's like what Kodaka's known for. Yeah, I haven't got. I'll talk more about it next week. But I've heard it does get like to that level. And I mean, I watched like reviewers of people like Johnny Awesome who loves like these types of games like I do. And he was like, this story fucking rules. Like a lot of people are like, this story is really fucking good. And that was what put me off of like past Danganronpa style games is I'm like, you guys got the art, even the music, but I'm like, your storytelling's not good right now. And the gameplay I wasn't as invested in because the narrative is like the heartbeat of their games. That's like what gets you to care. I mean, Raincoat I think is decent enough, but this is, I'm optimistic right now is what I would say. And now I could come, this is 2 hours impressions, right?
Yeah, you gotta.
I could come in here crashing out next week after 10 hours and being like, holy fuck, what happened?
Crash out Maddie video next week.
Yeah, y'all know how I roll. But right now, with the art style, the narrative setup, the music, I'm like kind of just like into it. So much so that I revealed myself to my friends about it. I have a friend who is on Marvel Strike Force. He told me this months ago. I still give him shit for it because he just can't kick gotcha games fully. I'm like, you fucking loser. Yada, yada. Just tease him the whole way. So I texted him today. I was like, you're going to hate what I'm playing right now, bro. He's like, oh God, what is it? I'm like, I'm playing a gotcha game. He's like, you fucking bitch. Like,
you hypocrite.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, you got a lot of fucking balls, bro. Like, he was so upset. He's like, you got a lot of balls tormenting me for months and then doing this. I was like, look, y'all do as I say. Don't do as I do.
Do as I do.
Until I give you the okay.
That's awesome. Now, this looks cool, man. I ain't going to front. This looks cool. I'm curious. I like, you know, next week.
Yeah,
where does it sit? Where does it settle?
Premium stuff kind of starts to show up. They're like,
right.
They're like, all right, you've played 5 hours. Here's our slot machine. What you think? Yeah, once they kind of like step outside, that's when I'm going to be all right, sure. Let's see what we got here. So we'll find out. The game also crashed on me once, but I was on Steam Deck, so like it was trying to load a cutscene and got into an infinite loading screen. So my session did get cut a little short because I had to glance at the clock and go, it's 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Time to go to bed. So that's Tribe 9.
Tribe 9. Let's keep our eyes out. I'm very curious your journey with this.
Yes, one. I will explore it more next week. Now we're on to the news. First item here, Cog. Big one. Fable. We have an update. There was a recent episode of the Xbox podcast, and it was there. We had the new head of Xbox Game Studios, Craig Duncan, formerly head of Rare, sit down, drop some news. We got updates on flagship, keyword there, multi-platform releases, as well as Fable, which is getting a delay into 2026. We got brand new pre-alpha gameplay, including a little bit of chicken kicking. And we have the write-in here from Austin to set us up. He says, I'm sure by now you've heard that Fable is seeing a delay into 2026. While I'm a bit disappointed considering the game is my most anticipated title by a mile, like the new footage that they showed absolutely looks phenomenal from a visual standpoint. Combat needs some polishing, but considering the footage is pre-alpha, I'm not too worried. What are your thoughts about the delay, the footage shown, and when in 2026 the game will actually release? This is a little surprising, Cog. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are like, yeah, this is not surprising at all. And I'm like, I don't know. When you commit that far out to 2025 and you keep your window vague, I feel like you have a rough idea of how long you might need to where you don't need to really hustle that release window. This is the first time that game got a window. And then when you delay out of the out of the holiday window, we assume of 2025, and it's the top of 2025, that tells me a number of things. One of them is obviously they saw something and they went, look, this is a problem and this year is not going to be enough. We need more time. That's option one. But there's a lot of plausible reasons why Xbox would do this anyway. We have rumors that Oblivion Remake, Avowed just came out. Speaking of Xbox releases in general, 2025 is going to be an insanely busy year for them. GTA 6 is upcoming. They commit to, in this podcast, multi-platform ports in flagship titles, might I add. And they say, oh yeah, we're also doing, keyword, a little bit of Forza Horizon 5. We're also doing Sea of Thieves when I was there, right? That kind of terminology suggests that they're trying to prep you for what else might go multi-plat. When a game like Fable gets this much time and investment, I feel like there's only one option a current Xbox can do, and that's prepare a PS5 port. For a game that's in pre-alpha, looks really good visually. I'm of the mindset there's a lot of plausible reasons right now why this thing could have got delayed, and not all of them are just horrible news. I do think the way they've been very picky with what they show of this game is strange. Obviously, this changes a lot. Like, I wonder what they're going to do for the summer showcase. Like, what is the big developer direct game? That was our pick. Mm-hmm. I'm like, do they still do that? Even if it, like, I don't know if it's top half of 2026 anymore. They seem to need all the time they can get. But I think there's a lot of reasons that they could run out of the 2025 window without it really spelling doom for the game. But keeping your eyes wide open, it's like, all right, you announced it in 2020. You're moving into year 6 now. So sure, you look pretty, but I got to see what makes Fable, as I'll get into. That's why my hype is a little more tame. I am excited by name alone. Game visually looks brilliant. Combat seems to have a lot of potential, but I have yet to see those elements that define the franchise, the morality, the choices that you make, the sim elements, those sorts of things I think are really what set Fable out from the bunch. So there's a lot to kind of read into with this delay is how I'm trying to set it up, Cog. So what is your kind of top-down read of the situation? And why do you think, if you were to wager a guess, this game did get delayed? What did you think of the gameplay that was there? Did it show you enough to be like, I'm chill? I mean, certainly from an Xbox point of view, if you're just looking, if you're in this ecosystem, you're good. There's shit to play almost every month for the first half of the year. And I imagine that'll continue after the showcase, where the second half of the year will be very full as well. So from that standpoint, I think we're good. But what do you make of this delay, Cog? Bit of a surprise to me, at least.
Yeah, you hit me. You were the first to hit me with the news. It was you. And I was like, whoa, delay 2026. Okay. So obviously they come out with Tina Mini. And then it's so funny. Now I got to refer to Mr. Duncan. Was it Craig Duncan?
Craig Duncan, yeah.
Craig Duncan, yeah. Now he's the old school booty roll, right?
Yeah.
Right? And now Booty's elevated him over the other publishers and stuff. But him come out and say it, and then they say, "Hey, we know this will disappoint some, but we made the decision to delay it." So a lot of thoughts running through my head. So first thought, I'm going to be consistent like I've always at. If the game needs more time, delay the game. This game is extremely important. We know the legacy of Fable. We understand, the British humor. This is one of those games that was synonymous with the platform early. You want to nail this. Then I started thinking, I'm like, okay, so if they delay it, right? And to your point, talk a lot of multi-platform stuff on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time,
before they get into Fable, they talk about all the games multi-plat, then Fable.
Yes, so it's interesting. Now that each Band-Aid gets ripped off with Xbox as the year goes on, right? Now we're getting to the point now that obviously they didn't blatantly put logos on the show, but you're mentioning other platforms. You're mentioning Switch outright.
Yeah.
They mentioned Switch.
He's like, what are you excited for if it's not Xbox related? He says Switch too. I'm like, I wonder why.
So
they're teasing so much in this show.
Exactly. They're talking about platforms openly now. So we are full on with the multi-platform strategy. This is an Xbox, it's everywhere kind of strategy, right? And I'm saying, okay, this is the new mentality. So then I get back to the delay. I'm like, okay. First of all, I was impressed that they did show anything. I thought we're just going to get a delay, see you when we see you, that kind of energy. So we saw some and I was like, man, phenomenal little werewolf thing. And then
visually it looks really good. Yeah.
Really good. And I'm like, all right, cool. But I get the criticism. In fairness, for a person who is, I would say I'm more bullish on Fable than most. I'm kind of bullish in the way that I was Indiana Jones. I remember Indiana Jones had the same kind of rhetoric. Bro, they ain't showing full gameplay. They keep jump cutting. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it's fair, but I also feel like that's something that they're going to save for a developer direct or a showcase focused game in conjunction with the Xbox Showcase or the summer thing. But you raise a great question. What happens with the showcase game now? Because we had it penciled in. Okay, it's coming out this year. Boom, it's gonna be this year. You do the deep dive now. Now it depends on the extent of this delay. Is this a delay where it's top of the year? Is this an Avowed level delay where it's like, oh, we needed a few months of polish. Oh, we may have heard GTA's date. Because let's be honest, Avowed did run from Assassin's Creed Shadows' old date. That's in my opinion. My humble opinion. Remember it was supposed to be a Murderer's Row November at that time.
And they stepped into February.
They stepped into February. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But, we understood the logic. So now is it a situation where it's like, GTA is a partner. You may know where their release date is. You look at the year you have, you look at all the games you have. Remember, they still got Outer Worlds 2. They still got Ninja Gaiden. And then, I gotta be honest now, I may have to eat crow, Maddie. I was firmly convinced is no E-Day this year. Because I've been hearing rumblings. Does this open the door for E-Day to now get into the slot? Because here's the thing, and Black Rock, I love y'all, don't get mad. My concern is, unless the game is Fable or Call of Duty, which I do not want to see a secondary focus on Call of Duty again. Don't get me wrong, we loved you. We Black Ops 6, we love you. I don't want every year you to be the focus game. That's just me personally, right? We know you are the commodity, but I gotta be real. I don't think, as much as I know y'all go hard for Outer Worlds too, I don't think it's strong enough as the focus game. Western RPG, I love you, but I don't know. That's just me. So to me, the only thing that could take that title was like when you had a Starfield, you had a Fable, is like a Gears E-Day. You throw a Gears E-Day if you are coming out this year, right? Yeah. Gears is big enough to be like, bro, we back and we out this year, right? So, and we already see Ninja Games, so
that's a good feeling, yeah.
So that's my thing. So now let's get back to the delay. Whew. Is it a delay where you come out the top of the year and then you don't show Fable at this year's showcase, but you show it at a developer's direct with a top of the year? But then there's a part of me that if you delayed it, they need more time. And now we have new data. New data is you could be potentially porting this simultaneous to PlayStation 5. And what I'm concerned about is the Indiana Jones effect. Even though we know Indiana Jones is critically acclaimed, We know it's an amazing game. Did they not like the stagger? Did they not like the fact that, man, it didn't sell the way it should have? And remember, we saw the numbers kind of come back, and so now you're like, you know what? Single player game, no microtransactions. We need that to succeed. So let's get that simultaneously with the PlayStation 5 port. I know Xbox Hardcore, you ain't gonna like that, but they trying to do what's best for the game.
This thing's been rumored since 2018, dude. I mean, if you go based off their announcement trailer, again, the amount of time and resources by the point this game comes out, we're talking like 6 years minimum.
Right.
If you're talking like spinning up, building that team out first since 2018, like 8 years, 9 years, I mean, that is like, you need to go everywhere.
And we know this game is an expensive game.
This
game, you could tell the budget. Playground went all out. This ain't no cheap game. This is AAA to the T, and you're gonna want to get return on investment. That's how I look at it. So part of it, they probably needed more time, but part of it is like, in my opinion, if I had to guess, you already on the show with Tina and Greg talking about multi-platform and ports, bro. You already greasing the wheel of what you thinking about doing. So to me, you're going to launch this at the same time. And we've Outer Worlds 2 is now precedent that it seems to be same time, right? Mm-hmm. They remember it was formerly an Xbox exclusive. Now we saw the PS5. There's a strong chance that Outer Worlds 2 does the simultaneous release this year on PlayStation. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna lean my gut right now. Later 2025 release, give them almost a full year. Maybe they become the showcase game for next year. There's a part of me that says we may still see it this year, only in like a quick clip kind of thing at the showcase. Yeah. Because they did kind of do that with Indiana Jones when Indiana Jones was pushed back. Remember, we've got the ice level, the ice biome, and they went overextended. You know what I'm saying? So I could see them kind of play that kind of thing. But look, ultimately, what's best for the game is the game gets delayed, and I want the game to succeed. And if the game succeeding means that it has to be launched with more time on all platforms, so be it. Me personally, I care more about Fable being great than my ego that, we got and you don't got. Yeah. Sure. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? But it is interesting. And, I get with people with the development and, you're getting frustrated. But all I would push back for the people who are frustrated is just like, look, we can't have it both ways, gamers. We can't be like, bro, stop releasing these broken games. Bro, what were you thinking, Redfall? You know what I'm saying? Like, this game is too important. Because we wanted Halo to get delayed. Infinite. Yeah. Remember, like, bro, I can't be a hypocrite and be like, nah, these joints are taking too long. What's wrong? I mean, it's just game development, bro. And they're in a different place. But I get it. I for people who really want it, I gauge Addict as my, he's the bro. This man loves Fable more than he loves Halo. Like this is the reason why he bought Xbox. Fable. Yeah. And I was like, what's the temperature, bro? How you feeling? And he's just like, I'm okay. He's like, let them take their time. I was like, sure, good. Just make sure, Nah, he good. So that's where I'm at with it. But the question now becomes, when do you show it again? And that I don't 100% know. Is it going to be at the showcase next year? Is it going to be a developer direct? Is it at the top of the year? Is it end of the year? There's still more questions.
Yeah, this is, I think, the biggest one, because it was that easy, like, this is the game everyone's hyped for. Does it benefit as much when you do a top of the year developer direct in January where you're splitting the focus versus when it, let's be honest, bro, that summer direct is a propellant. Like Starfield, Black Ops 6, like, these are the big dogs who get there. So that's a tough pair of shoes to fill. And I think Fable is perfect for it. I think your Gears theory has legs. That is one that, if they were like, here's the campaign, here's the horde mode, here's the multiplayer, whatever else other new shit they do, I could see them making a really cool direct out of that. So I'm gonna ride your theory on that a bit. I think Gears E-Day is the fill-in.
Yeah, provided if it's ready, right? Because remember, I'm the one that pushed the back, say, oh no, it's not ready. It's too many games. But if they already internally knew that Fable needed more time and we're going to do it, and if Gears E-Day is ready, that's the only title to me that has enough championship caliber cachet to hold that spot, and they'll be okay. 100%. So Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it is an interesting time because now when it gets delayed, I'm like,
What you
this
think?
far in advance, and you get pushed into 2026. I'm like, I don't know if this is like, my head immediately goes to top of 2026, but I'm like, is it that?
Right.
If you
You
need to
still
make
got
that port, polish things out, you've waited this long. Why not wait a little bit longer? Again, you've got Avowed, probably expansions for Avowed and the Oblivion remake. Like, been a lot of fantasy stuff coming out. Wouldn't hurt to get out of the. Also, I was talking to my editor. It was a good call out. Crimson Desert is another one, which is huge. So they might be kind of looking at it saying, it's just in GTA 6. Like, let's just move. We have a ton of stuff coming out. We're not going to be short on cash without Fable because we have so much more coming out multiplat. Maybe it's afforded that sort of extra time, a ridiculous amount of extra time nonetheless.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if by how cagey they've been with the game on a feature level, if it's as close to done as we think. I think it's ahead of the curve.
Right.
So, like when we saw Avowed during the developer direct, that was pre-alpha.
Yes.
And we had a conversation. We're like, yo, that combat feedback, yeah, parts look good, parts don't. This was pre-alpha. And you're like, people are like, ship it. People were like, whoa. Now, of course, like with graphics and fidelity, for me, they only go so far, but definitely like for pre-alpha, very impressive showing visually where it's like, okay, they're ahead of the curve, where I wonder again, if that's where my port idea came from. I'm like, I don't know how much more you can shine this thing up. I was like, it looks really good. But now if you mean shine it up for PS5 Pro and PS5 and make sure this thing, maybe even a Switch 2, then you're talking something different, right? Yeah. Maybe in between, because also the other thing that we're not considering is a holdover, which again, they're talking about flagship IP. What better time to introduce the world to Fable than now? It's time to bring out the Fable collection. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like I know we've all had these ideas of obvious collections Xbox should do, everything from one, IP they've recently purchased, like Fallout, all the way to games like Fable or Gears was especially rumored. But feels like a good time to kind of familiarize people with that. Just be like, oh, hey, PlayStation fans, you don't know much about Fable, do you? Switch fans, you don't know much about Fable, do you? Check out what we've got cooking.
I mean, it's a good call out. I mean, they told PlayStation 5 owners, get your convoy ready at Horizon 5. This is the same playground. Call your friends. Let them know. Yeah. Spring 2025. I mean, you want to do that. You want to do a little fall. And it does feel like the year of ingratiating bases with their titles with the older stuff. Halo Master Chief Collection, Switch, this, that, Forza Horizon 5, this, that, Gears, a remake of, like, getting them acclimated to burger, shake, and fries and everything else that comes with being in the ecosystem. It just feels like the setup if you're going to do it. And financially, it should work.
Yeah. And again, why not throw Fable in that mix? I think Fable will be able to sell itself totally fine. Don't get me wrong. But if a lot of this is like, you mentioned ingratiating that audience into what's coming up, like we just did Halo Studios, we rebranded. They're working on a Combat Evolved remake and a brand new Halo title. What better time to put out Master Chief Collection than this year to get a new audience ready for what's coming up? I don't know why that argument doesn't work for Fable, which is why I'm like, maybe this is why the wait won't feel too long if you've got a collection to break it up. There was that one time it was rumored and then they like pulled back on it. Remember that? They put out like
a tweet. Yes. I
like very heavily hinting it. And they're like, we were joking. I was like, what sick fuck does that? And then that also like weird. That joke read to me like a tease, complete like deliberate tease. I don't know, bro. So
about that.
I always that still keeps me up at night. That's one that I still think about. I'm like, that was a joke to you? That didn't read like one to me, but
I agree.
So
very strange.
Yeah, I just think there's something else in the mix of all of this that we're going to learn about within these next 4 months that I think gives stronger reasoning to the Fable delay, whether it be a GTA release date, something with Xbox and what they're planning for the holiday window. Like, we know the rumor is Gears E-Day maybe this year, but that's still like, to me, I'll be surprised if they commit to that because I'll be like, wow, like they were ready. Okay. Like that'd be huge to me. But that could be a big surprise. do they trust the Outer Worlds 2 enough to make that the direct game and be like, hey, Obsidian, you're up? You know, I mean, it's possible.
It's possible. I don't know. It's just like, as much as I always try to take myself out of it because I love the Black Rock so much and I love Outer Worlds so much. But I'm like, I always feel like they try to get what I consider something with a more casual appeal.
Hollywood, bro. It's the Hollywood games, right?
You know, Hollywood game kind of thing. And again, unless Outer Worlds, remember, we saw, you know, the loot clip, but if that deep dive is that super impressive, like, you know,
what would be an interesting test for that is now with like Fable out, like we knew that was the next, like you talk casual, high profile. Can developer direct elevate a game to that level?
That's a good call out. Yeah.
And you elevate Outer Worlds 2 to a level on people's radar where it's like, 30-minute deep dive. That's got a lot going on there.
That would be dope. I would love talk about the Black. I would love them to get their shot. And if, to me, Outer Worlds 2 is what I'm hoping for when I look at Avowed. It's like, now the glow up, or just they already got the Outer Worlds had an amazing way more foundation than Avowed. You know what I'm saying? So now you talk about a real glow up. And now you really showcase the differences. I would love for them to be afforded the option, because we do know they plan on, you know, coming out this year. So
yeah,
and let's just, all right, let me just give you this thought exercise. So let's just say Gears is not this year. Let's say it's not right. Let's say my theory is incorrect. And what's the other game you could put not named Outer Worlds 2? Or do you not do one at all?
No, they got to do one. They are a company of tradition. They've got to. No, I don't think Contraband would be big enough. I'm trying to think of like games that are like sleepers that could sneak up on us.
Which leads me to my thought of Call of Duty again.
Nah, there's no fucking way.
We don't want to hear it, but bro, they might remix it. They might remix it.
Okay, how about this? Before we get too fucking crazy, Cog, let's calm down. All right, take a breath, because you're out of pocket right now. I'm gonna get you back in the pocket. Xbox sometimes bends the rules of the direct. No.
Yes.
Does it have to be first party?
Ooh, good call out. I like that.
You know, maybe work a little Square Enix partnership here.
Oh, okay.
This is a great time.
But what new they got? You can't roll out Final Fantasy 16. Be like, hey guys, this is a deep dive. Hey guys, here's Final Fantasy 7 finally for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to take myself out of this because my brain went to Nier. I'm just like, I mean, look, that'd be huge for me. But like, we're talking casual appeal. They'd be like, what the?
You gotta appeal to this audience now that's going to be tuning into Xbox showcases with the hope that they get games on their platform.
Let me cook.
All right,
Persona 6.
Oh, you doing it?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, you got the marketing rights, and you going to do. I like your third party approach, though. I like your third party.
That, or you bend the rules and you reach for something that's like top of 2026 and be like, you know, it's still coming soon enough. Maybe they do that.
But do they dive for the third party? That's the thing. See, they like the flex that they got the marketing or they got the Game Pass. But then again, to your point, we just deep dived on the damn Expedition 33.
Yeah, right. And before that was Visions of Mana. So
yeah, they treated it like it was their baby. Expedition was like, they acted like it was, you know, if you didn't know any better. I remember some PlayStation players like, yo, that's coming, right? When it first came out, they like, yo, what's up? You'll say that kind of thing because they look that good. Yeah, that's a good call out. It could be you take the biggest, hottest third party marketing deal that you got, and you associate it with the platform and say that's the deep dive. Because I'll be honest, I would be low key disgusted if we got Call of Duty again. I ain't gonna hold you. Look, Black Ops was a novelty. You had to set it off. First, it was great. You wanted to set it off that this is synonymous with Game Pass. It's synonymous. Good job. We know that now every year. We don't need see you every year. Fair. Yeah. I will really be. That's what hurt me about the Fable thing. I was like, damn. Looking forward to that. Try to get it this year.
All right. I got another idea.
All right, here we go. Let's go.
I don't see any sort of Game Pass deal or anything. It is purely like marketing. But if you're talking about bringing eyes to your show, GTA, I don't think Rockstar needs them. By the way, just before anyone reacts, I'm not kidding myself. But if I'm Xbox and I'm looking to fill a sizable gap in my show, you get the game of the year.
The
game of the generation, right?
For sure.
I
mean, and we know PlayStation has Borderlands marketing rights, right? Because they showcase it at the stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, if you back the truck up, but Strauss, his bag, I think he's just
there's that's the thing. There's like almost no way, but I'm just thinking about like, it's got to be a high profile game.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at third party, there's few options that come to mind. Maybe Crimson Desert. I mean, I think that game looks fucking spectacular, and I do think it has broad appeal, but like, does that work for Xbox? I don't know. Yeah, dude, it's something I could spin my wheels on all fucking day. Like, it's just,
a good one. All I care about now is the marketing cycle for an Xbox showcase and what is because this has nothing to do with Xbox's lineup for 2025. They are fine. They've got Ninja Gaiden, they got Outer Worlds, they got all that Call of Duty, potentially Gears, Oblivion. They are fine. Because this is one of the few times they have the luxury of having bad games.
Yes. And look at how the lack of reaction is there. No one was pissed about this. They were just like, okay, I have questions, but like, I'm not angry. It's like, as Cog has said, games help.
Game ultimate deodorant. Bro, remember 2022? We was stinking out here. We is like, bro, no Starfield and no Red. What do we have?
Yeah. It's a huge difference maker. I don't blink at delays at this point anymore. They're just so common. But when it's like a 2022 level delay, that's a different type of like reaction. But yeah, now this is like, okay, I got lots to play.
Yeah.
And so much more on the horizon. But all right. Any other thoughts on the footage or the delay or anything that you want to get into on Fable?
It looks good, man. Playground, like I said, I'm not worried because it is a whole new genre change for them, right?
Sure.
And it's a storied franchise. But I go for it. When I saw the chicken get kicked, I was like, all right, y'all understand the mission.
To me, like I said in my video, and I hope it didn't come across like super callous, but I was like, the only sign of Fable in this game is that chicken kick. Setting wise, sure, but like the humor we still need to see. I'm just like, I want to see those Fable elements, and I get why they're being cagey, but Xbox just needs to understand one thing, is that I think the thread is getting a little loose, where it's like, I can only hear so many of your execs, like it was Matt.
Bloviate.
And like, we love it. It looks so great. It's like, I fucking know that. Like, I'm sure it does, but I want to see what you guys think is so great. And if it looks so great, why is it that we see very carefully selected cutscenes? Or it's not even the kind of Indiana Jones effect to me. It's like, why are you comfortable showing combat and people talking, but not like the core Fable elements that should be there? Like one tease of like getting married, or one tease of like running a business, those types of things.
I got you.
And make Fable, right?
No, for sure. Good call.
I'm not even asking to show like little things like horns growing out of my character's head because I'm gradually being more evil, though I would be losing my mind over that. I just think that's the element missing for a lot of people. And I do think any sort of hysteria that is not around the game now, but is kind of closing in, like you're one delay or statement away from that sort of like, all right, I was cool the first time, what's going on? I think would be wiped away if they went, here. Doesn't need to be a full showing, but like within that 1 minute, you're telling me you couldn't show one of those systems online? And you think that's ruining things?
That's fair.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt in one thing, and that's that they seem to be above any other game insanely protective of this one.
Yes.
And like, even Craig, who's the head of Xbox Game Studios, was like, I'm going to do my best not to say much because they're going to be really upset with me if I do. So there is a level of like,
yes,
do not say a fucking word.
Yeah, and I'm getting the energy from Playground. Like, yo, don't blow up our spot. Let us, because remember, we heard this since the Booty Day. Booty been like, yo, I can't wait to show you. They keep telling me, stop, chill.
Yeah.
It's the same energy. So they're very protected. There's a part of me that likes it, but in fairness to what you said, there's no guarantees with this thing. People need to see a full, unedited, non-jump cut version with particular Fable elements, and then that will really calm down the people who do have any concerns about it. But yeah, I think that's fair criticism.
And call me crazy, this is totally just me being me. Am I the only one who like wants to see, like when I get these snippets of the game, like I want to see the UI on, like I want to see what I I think I have an idea of what I'm going to be playing. They showed like the horseback riding and the combat, and I'm like, I know the UI is not going to be off. Like, what am I seeing? Right. I feel like that game feel is missing in promotional material right now.
Yeah.
And I would love to see more of that because I think it just creates that excitement. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm going to play. So, but UI does get adjusted deep in development. So
yeah,
maybe I'm talking in circles here, but I'm eager to see more. You know, it looks good visually. I hope to see those systems online soon, but no other thoughts for me on Fable. What about you? Are you satisfied?
I am satisfied. Let's see what happens.
All right. So then we get into the heavy hitter. WB Games has shut down Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and WB San Diego. The latter is a support studio for Player First Games who developed Multiverses. Also on the side, Wonder Woman has been canceled. Monolith was known for franchises like Fear, and of course the Shadow of Mordor War, like the Middle Earth series. And they had been working on this Wonder Woman game since 2018. It was announced in, I think, like 21. Recently got rebooted and then shut down. Interestingly, Player First Games recently got purchased by WB Games 8 months ago and then got shut down. So the gross level of incompetence here is something I'll be talking about for a while, but I sounded off pretty strongly on my video, so I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I want to hear from you, Cog, just your thoughts and feelings on WB Games, who we know has been sliding, right? We saw the performance of Suicide Squad. We saw the performance of returning Multiverses to the market after they stupidly pulled it. We saw how they were $100 million in the hole on Wonder Woman. They were a combined $400 million down. Something was going to give. This is what they chose to do. They're apparently focusing on fewer but bigger projects, as we talked about earlier with NetEase. So they're looking at Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, well after its prime, Mortal Kombat, and Batman. So those are the big IP that they're going in on. What do you make of what we got here from WB Games?
I just can't justify, as a person who loves games and the games industry, I can't justify anybody wanting to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Like, what's the sell? You know what I mean? Like, what's, hey guys, you love games, you want to create games, you know, you put your hard-earned development skills to the test, and you too could be fired, and you too could be shuttered, and you too could be out in the street. And, you know, you too could be at the discretion of terrible corporate decisions, terrible shareholder decisions where there's no penalty for them. They continue on and, you know, want to make bigger games and that kind of stuff that we talked earlier. WB is going to be, this is really getting to a tragic tale because it's like, how do you fumble this bag with all of these IPs and all these and the movie tie-ins, and like I just don't understand what's going on over there. And it doesn't make sense to me. And Monolith, bro, Nemesis system, trademark, which I already had issues with that. Oh, now nobody really coming. We gonna get homegrown. Like, nobody can really use that into perpetuity, I guess. Like this is just, you know, as a studio that, I mean, as a publisher that had. They're not that far removed from Hogleg, right? Remember the dominant story that was of how, you know, this single player Harry Potter game, Overcome All Odds, beats Call of Duty. They literally have the gold mine right there. Then you try to get expansive with the Catching of the Waves and the Suicide Squads and how do you fumble a Wonder Woman game?
Yeah,
that should be a slam dunk. No.
Or why is your first thought? I mean, with all due respect to Wonder Woman, why is your first thought not, oh, you have this Nemesis system? You know what would go really well with this? Batman. Bro.
Fire with the Nemesis.
They already had the free flow tech, so they already had that part.
The call.
Batman, Nemesis system. These two are made for each other. It works wonderfully in Middle Earth, but the Nemesis system in a Batman game where you literally are known for breaking people's fucking bones and shit, like, I just don't know how this would, even if they were so deep in the hole, this wasn't their thought like, oh, you're worth keeping around because we can do this.
bro, Rocksteady, Batman, criminals come back after what Batman did to them. You know what I'm saying? Remember, that was the joyful part. No, people don't realize Shadow of Mordor really was transformative for what it was doing with that Nemesis system. Yeah. And that's what bothered me so much with the trademark. So that's why I was getting my feelings with Nintendo doing what they're doing, because it's like a lot of this stuff, when you lock that stuff down, you're locking creativity down that no one else can't use that. And it's just like, bro, I get it. It's just that hurts. Like, let's all intents and purposes, that hurts. So where do they go from here? Then obviously you've been following the multiverses thing, right? And we thought that had tremendous potential. Mm-hmm. Tremendous. You got all the properties. You got Smash and the whole, but you're a beta. Since when? Like, you're a beta? Like, that's what we do? Like, all these false starts, all this gross mismanagement. This is just, I don't even know what to say. Like, yeah. How do they come back from that? So now what's the folk? What was the mission statement? Did they put out the statement of, it was just, we're going to go big? What are we doing? Bigger games?
Fewer but bigger games.
Fewer but bigger games.
And then the Schreier report said these IP are, and they went over Batman, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat.
So those are the 4.
Yeah, those are the main ones. Yeah. Those are the main ones.
Again, this is when, your appetite is just way too big and the greed is just way too big. And now you've imploded as a result. And now you have to course correct. And the way this industry continues to do this, we're not going to survive, bro. If we continue, we are not learning these lessons. Mm-hmm. And how about making smaller games? How about not ever trying to catch every live service? Because guess what? We just talked about the Matt Piscatella article. Everyone's fighting for Fortnite. You're lucky if you're breaking through like a Marvel Rivals. They didn't even see them.
Yeah.
What they're doing, right? Yeah. So it just shows like, I get it, bro. You're shooting the shot. You're going for, this is not sustainable. It's not. And the games industry is suffering. This is horrible news. When I seen this, I was just like, I can't believe it. Here we go again. But I caught a little bit of your video. Caught a little bit of your video. A lot of passion. But I felt it. It's, the floor is yours. You were cooking on that one.
Well, thank you. Mm-hmm. I'm really selective when I do those types of videos because I know a lot of people feed off that because they feel heard. But the reason I don't do that often is because I'm like, it's very easy to watch people slip into like rage baiting and just constantly being angry and constantly yelling. And it's like, there are times like that, or when Xbox shut down a bunch of Bethesda studios, where I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you drop me from every opportunity forevermore. I don't give a fuck if a sponsor drops me. We're talking about the future of the industry, and we just can't keep axing down talent like it's nothing. They're not coming back, and certainly no one wants to come in. It's a common thing, just constantly seeing people go like, I pivoted. Can you blame them? People got lives to live. It's expensive as fuck right now to live. Why would anybody, even the most diehard of passions, I get it. Why would you? I admire those greatly who still go in there fiercely. That is the one good thing of all this, is that those who are entering the industry are either A, like, I'm too fucking deep now to pull out, or B, they're like, no, I'm going to do this because I believe in this. And this is what I want to do. This is what I know I was born to do. And so that is the good thing, that some of the strongest passions might shine through eventually in the end of all of this. But right now, I know Monolith is the talk of the town. I'm not getting into that, but I really need to circle back to what we were talking about with player first games, because I'm like, we're talking about new studio, first game, it's multiverses. This was no small deal. It had, I think you could argue, I have not one-to-one the numbers, but you could argue it was reaching Marvel Rivals levels. Hundreds of thousands of players. Everyone was talking about it. Is this the new Smash Bros competitor? Finally, like so many companies have tried to do that. Nick All-Star Brawl, as much as I love it, has not captured that zeitgeist outside of the crazy announcements that they make. But they have not caught that sort of excitement like Multiverses did. The Cartoon Network Battle XL game did not. Rivals of Aether, which is great, by the way, indie style Smash game, has not caught on. You were a lightning in the bottle, once in a fucking blue moon moment, and bro, you threw it away. Like, I don't know how we get people in these positions that are able to make these calls. Like, I just don't even know how that conversation gets past the first sentence of like, I think we should pull this extremely successful game. Why? Do you not know how the entertainment business works. Because here's what I think a lot of these big execs are missing now is this. It is not about, oh, well, we're pulling out of the market. There's no other platform fighter. Smash is years off. When we come back, we're still going to be the only one. You are not fighting for genres at this point. You're fighting for time in general.
Facts.
You could be releasing next to a big fantasy RPG, a sci-fi first-person shooter, a popular puzzle game. You are competitors. It is no longer, and I'm guilty of thinking this way as we were talking about with Avowed and Kingdom Come. It doesn't matter at a certain point. There's constant good content everywhere.
Yes.
And when you leave what we would call a power vacuum wide open, someone will happily fucking fill that for you immediately. And especially the consumer. They're not going to wait for you.
Oh, yeah.
This industry moves quick, bro. I went from, if you want an example of just how the news moves, I went from Monday, I don't know when I'm post this week, to Tuesday. There's tons of shit to talk about. Like, this industry just lights up like a bunch of fireworks. So that's like square one for me, is you had a studio that said, game one, here's your mega hit. We have the roster. We have the WBIP. The roadmap is clear. Let's ride this thing out. Well, you have Tekken was rocketing out of the gate. Did it have its bumps down the road? Of course. That is the nature of a live service beast. You got to kind of manage it as you go along. Not that Tekken is full live service, but you get my point. Like, it's got live elements to it.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, no doubt Multiverses was going to, as every live service game does, fall off a little bit. And it would have to make big announcements and do competitive things to stay interesting for people. That is how it goes. But to yank it and then put it back out and artificially bump its numbers and try to act like it was a beta, like, people aren't stupid, man. The only people who are stupid in this situation are the people making these calls, and somehow they have risen up to like 7-figure jobs. Whew, crazy to me. So that's the one that bothers me the most, because not only did you have awful foresight and all of that, but you bought them with zero plans. You bought them out, brought them in, clearly had a plan, released the game. It obviously flopped, which I was like, that had to be the expectation. They were like, we're going to invest in other things in the future. And you shut them down. And that's it. That's their story. We made a huge hit. It was viral. It made money. It got taken off the market. We re-released it. It obviously flopped and we got shut down after we got purchased 8 months ago. That's like dystopian level storytelling, bro. I'd find that shit in the Outer Worlds. You know? Like, that's, there's only so many words I can use to display my astonishment. But to me, Player First Games is, while they're not the biggest name in it all, they are, to me, like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That is the games industry in a nutshell. These people at the top have no fucking idea what they're doing. And the reality is, why is indie, for example, it's always tough, but why are they functioning better? Oh, I don't know, because you got people who know the fucking game running these decisions. Why is Sven Vink, despite making amazing video games that sell really well and had the incredible Baldur's Gate 3, how was he able to figure this all out? Because the motherfucker plays video games, dude. That's all there is to it. He plays games. He's as invested in the entertainment side of the business as he is running the business. You know, this idea that we're putting execs who don't know ball, right? They don't know ball in to make these decisions is continuously killing the industry to the point where they don't even know the talent to preserve. Do you know how many teams, publishers out there would kill to say, like, we just built this studio from the ground up, game one, a hit?
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, nah, sorry, you've outlived your usefulness. Like, it's not, I'm sorry. This will sound like I'm advocating for cuts, but like, it's not WB Games Montreal who released Arkham Origins as their first game and then took 8 years and gave you Gotham Knights. It's not them. Like, that's not the cut you make. If we're talking business, like, I'm sorry, what are we doing here? And especially when one of the games was received really well, and even if Gotham Knights sold decently, we're talking about different talent levels. I'm sure that'll get misinterpreted, but I'm just saying, like, from a business point of view, even like future outlook point of view, I'm like, this doesn't add up to me. Now, apparently a lot of the Monolith leads left that made the things that we like. So
they were in name, they were kind of there in name only.
Yeah.
Like a Bioware.
Yeah. But what's just sad about it is when we got Shadow of War, none of us thought that was their last game.
I know. Think how long that was ago.
Yeah. None of us got that. That's their last game. Obviously, they themselves didn't know that either, but I just look at this, man, and I just worry about the future of the industry, not just by layoff sad. It's just, dude, like you got to grow and nurture talent. This is like shutting down the farm system in baseball or something, like, you know, not investigating international athletes. Like this
like
is
you
that
just free agent surfing all day.
Yeah, like it's just like you can only skim by the seat of your pants for so long. And I just think we're in for that. I wouldn't call it like an industry-wide crash, but do I think like AAA is crashing and burning in a lot of areas? 100%, dude. If mega hits are not enough, then there's something, as I've said before, I will live on that talking point until I'm in my grave, is that I think the development economy is fucking broken. And I have not seen anything that proves it otherwise, other than so games on other platforms. I'm like, they're still taking 5, 6, 7 years to make. They're still extremely high prices because you're funding these mega teams of like 400 people, most based on the West Coast of America, where it's the most expensive place to fucking live. Like these projects might cost less if you made a smaller game with 100-man team, so maybe somewhere in the Midwest.
I know, right?
You know?
Somewhere else, yeah. You can actually,
if we're talking America, but these games need to get smaller, dude. Like, and in the case of multiverses, like I don't know how long that took to make. Didn't scream big game to me though. It had great production values, but when I say big game, I mean like content size and stuff. Like what are we doing? Why is it only that AA and indie seem to get what it means to go back to the drawing board? It's like that toy where they have all the shapes and you try to fit them through the shapes. Like we have this square box and someone's holding the fucking circle and like bang. It's like, it's not going in, bro. It's not going in. I don't know how many times to tell you this, but it's not going in. But they keep trying. And I'm like, you're not going to get through to this growth, this arbitrary growth that you so desperately seek by trying to make these games go to other platforms and stuff. You're going to hit the same fucking brick wall you're hitting now. It just delays the inevitable. These games need to get smaller. They do. And you need to hire good talent who knows how to make bigger games with less talent. That's what the industry should be about. Not, we're going to fucking super team it and just combine like thousands of developers. Ubisoft, can you feel the thousands of developers in a Ubisoft game? I sure don't think you can. But you'll see it in the credits. So you'll be like, where the fuck, what did all these people do? I mean that with no disrespect, but like that's the reality of it. It's like numbers don't matter. It's an art form. It needs good leadership. It needs good management skills. And where does that come from? People who know the craft. And the people who are going to inform those business decisions need to also have that level of knowing the craft. You know, I look at, if you want to take Star Wars as an example, you look at like how like a Dave Filoni kind of stepped in and really nurtured in an era of people loving the prequels, which when I grew up, everyone fucking hated the prequels. These were like the bane of Star Wars fans' existence. But you got a guy who had passion for it all, who brought that to a whole new level with the Clone Wars and the other animated shows that were attached to it. And I know Star Wars is in a shit spot now, so it's not like a perfect one-to-one example, but I hope people get what I'm saying, where it's like when you get someone who knows ball, right? My term, you know ball, it helps. I'm not saying this guy's got to be a diehard gamer logging 1,000 hours a fucking week on something, but I'm just asking for someone who's into the actual entertainment as much as the business. Because what I'm seeing is just option B. Like, I'm a good businessman. Doesn't fucking matter. And when do we learn that gaming is a different beast entirely? In the way consumers adopt new technology, we're still holding on to physical media. Like it's movies, music, everyone's moved on. When are we learning that the games industry does just not operate by the same that same ideas that the rest of the world does? Everything's slower growth, and you might have hit that cap of what games can be in 2020. Like that is the tough pill to swallow in it all, from my point of view. You might have just hit, like, whether you're from China, Japan, United States, by 2021, you might have hit the cap of what video games can be in team size, in scope, and hopefully future technology, maybe even AI, can assist you in making them bigger, maybe a little prettier. But I feel like we hit a peak and we need to work with that, not find ways to explore these boundaries that I just don't even think fucking exist. They're kind of there just for the sake of growth, you know?
Yeah, look, because it's an industry that it's at war with itself, in a sense. You made a good point as far as artistry and creativity doesn't necessarily play well with fiduciary responsibility and stakeholder growth and wanting all of these, insane revenue and profit margins kind of thing. And I think that's the thing. It's like, thus we see less creativity because everyone wants to do the safe thing and everybody wants to now mimic the success of something else, as opposed to what drives it is these original ideas where people sometimes take a chance and you're like, okay, this is cool. And I think that's what the industry is at war with itself. That's why, and unfortunately, the developer is losing and he is not coming back. Yeah. That's the key. Yeah. We are bleeding talent at a rate where people go, wait a minute, why am I going to do blood, sweat, and tears for this just to be released? You know what, man? I'm going to go get this regular job at such and such. Yeah. I ain't dealing with this. And I got more stability. And you know,
maybe
what I mean?
Even more money.
And more, look, it's, struggle for me, to be honest, like in the sense of like, how could I, as a person who loves this industry, to dream to be in this industry, like seeing this stuff, right? And you're like, yeah. I'm ready to dive in.
If you really want to have the biggest entertainment industry, biggest business in entertainment history, literally sit there as like people looking as a side hustle option.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, like that's where we're headed right now. Like if you want to be getting into game development, what I'm doing right now, maybe like a little bit of, it's not like I don't treat it like option B, but it's a side thing.
Yeah.
Not my main thing. Yeah. Why the fuck would we try to make it our main thing? Any of us.
How can we cultivate the next level of creators in this kind of climate? Yeah. How can we convince them? Right? It's tough.
It's for the people who are already in there. They're like, well, some people are like, where else am I going to go? And that makes sense. I feel bad for them.
Of course.
It's got to be scary. But for the people coming in, which is arguably as important, it's like, they're not coming in, bro. Like, come on.
They're not lasting long.
Yeah.
Yeah, either one.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's just not good.
Not good.
And what's interesting is they're still pursuing this whole, I don't know if you saw this extra article I linked here in the script, but that they're still working on a DCU video game verse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, James Gunn says that it'll be a couple of years before the first DCU video game, and I'm just like, oh Christ, bro. This has never been done before. They had the template with Marvel, and they failed with like Justice League and everything. Now you've got you don't even have a template. You guys are gonna pioneer this shit. What are our feelings on that, Cog? We think they could pull off the DCU.
So they talk about like a DCU video game in what form? Like what's the comparative?
They're like the movie comparables, like like the one adventure feeds into the next, and then we
talking about a connected universe.
Yeah.
Wow. Look, man, they better be thankful that Insomniac has laid some form of a solid, and they don't even have a full joint, but you know what I mean? Like, you better worry about making one quality game before you start talking about we try to do the end game and Infinity War. Bro, make a game that's quality first. Let's stick to that. Like, again, this is where the ambition, right? Yeah. They see the money, they see what it could be, and you're losing what's right in front of you. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, God bless. I don't want to stop nobody energy, but it's very ambitious stuff to me, especially in the climate that we're in.
Yeah, like, no doubt, I think Batman's going to be the one that kicks it off.
Of course.
Rocksteady Batman. But, like, we're talking about the company that we just read shut down a Flash game because they thought the movie bombed because people aren't into Flash. And I'm like, it's something we've talked about extensively on the show, so I don't even need to cite examples, but like just this industry's inability to learn lessons in particular is just so scary. It's like there's just no connecting dots. Like, hey, Ezra Miller turned into a fucking psychopath in the months approaching the release of that new Flash movie. And that new Flash movie, by the way, happened to fucking blow. Maybe that's why it bombed.
Maybe that's why.
No, the Flash game can't work now. Bro, what? Like, what is this fucking, like, where's this line you're drawing? Is there any involvement from the movie or these people in the movie? If not, it was fine. But you shut it down. And that could have been cool as fuck. The Flash was like one of the rare bright spots in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. In those first couple hours, he was cool as fuck, in my opinion. I was like, you know what? I was like, I can kind of get down with this Flash. Like, I kind of like douchey Flash. But here we are now, dude. And I'm just again, horrible foresight, horrible ability to read a poor situation and learn what you need to change for next time, and now the films are impacting the games, but you're going to apparently greenlight a Game of Thrones game fucking years after series relevance. Who look, I'll be there because I'll be like interested in seeing what's going on. But like after season 8, who the fuck is asking for a Game of Thrones game? I don't know.
You know what with them? Don't it feel like it felt like they were in molasses during the time where they could hit and strike gold on all the things that were popping, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like why things take so long, and again, it just showed that the focus was just so incorrect.
Yeah,
because they were sitting on gold mines.
Yeah, like if you bring up a great point there, because if you really pull it out broadly speaking, molasses for the Hogwarts game, right? Like that is just one that you've talked about extensively. Like, how do you wait that long? Like, it's a success. I won't take it away from them, but there is an L in all of that success of like, bruh. Look at like everyone knew this was going to do well. Did I think it would outsell Call of Duty? I'm not going to pretend I knew that.
Yeah, no one saw
that. Yeah. But did I think it would do well? Yeah, it's fucking Harry Potter, dude.
Oh yeah.
You know? Now we pull it back further. It's like you had a team that was built making premier superhero games that were incredibly popular, and you turned them into a live service team. Like that, you could have continued to chase that golden goose, but you took a great part of your business and fucking destroyed it yourself to make a live service game. Imagine if all they did, instead of leaping from Batman and its Arkham series, they did like Superman or something like that, and they gave him his series. Like, bro, the amount of money they would have made, but they're like, no, we got to get our Fortnite.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know when these teams are going to realize, like, you're not going to get your Sinister Six. Like, you're not.
What it's showing me is we are still course-correcting from COVID. We are still recovering from the greed of the COVID era. The dudes were like, yo, do you see how many dudes are playing games? This is the new. Stop that Batman Arkham right now.
Yeah.
Stop that right now. Let's get this live server. Do you see what's going on? Oh, we need to get that Epic money. That it's like everybody saw the same playbook and the greed took over, and we are still paying for it.
Yeah.
Everything got shut down. Everything that made them who they are, they stopped to do that.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar. All these companies are doing it. And obviously, we see it with the Sony stuff. We see it with Xbox. Like all these companies at some point were doing that. And also, I look at teams before acquisition when all the multiplayer and the live service trend chasing. We're still recovering in 2025. What was the pandemic? 2020?
2020.
2020?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm checking something real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. See, this is what I also don't get. This is going to sound like I'm advocating for other layoffs. I'm really not, but I'm just, again, like looking at who they shut down. How is Avalanche still kicking around?
Yeah, Avalanche.
Contraband, remember that fucking announcement 5 years ago? Again, WB Games Montreal, as much as I was like hyping them up before Gotham Knights, because I was like, oh, hell yeah, they made Arkham Origins. Like, nope. That I don't know, man. I think of these companies that are being given leases on life, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough.
I don't know. I don't know if they. If you had to make a choice, I don't know if you chose well. Is how I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I got you on that. Shame.
Yeah, because there's an article here. There's 2 avalanches. I want to make sure I'm getting my information right. Because it's PC Gamer. It says, no, Avalanche Studios did not develop Hogwarts Legacy. You're thinking of the other Avalanche. Let's just read that real quickly before the comment section gets after me.
No, yeah, please. Podcasting.
The Avalanche Studios I think of when I hear the name Avalanche is a Swedish developer that released its first game, Just Cause, in 2006. Subsequent releases include The Hunter in 2009, Just Cause 2 in 2010, Mad Max and Just Cause 3 in 2015, Just Cause 4 in 2018, and in collaboration with id Software, forgot about this one, Rage 2 in 2019. Awesome game.
Rage.
Avalanche Studios is also part of the Avalanche Studios Group, established in March 2020, which encompasses Avalanche Studios, Expansive Worlds, and Systemic Reaction. Neither of them have anything to do with the Potter stuff. Systemic Reaction is currently working on online FPS Second Extinction, while Expansive Worlds is working on Call of the Wild, The Angler. Hogwarts Legacy, on the other hand, is developed by a completely different Avalanche. That would be Avalanche Software of Salt Lake City, Utah, which is actually a much older operation, founded in 1995, working on console ports of Mortal Kombat 3, NFL Blitz 2000, Prince of Persia 3D, as well as prior to Hogwarts Legacy, they did Disney Infinity. Avalanche Software has a pretty wild history. In 2005, it was acquired by Buena Vista Games, a Disney Interactive spinoff. In 2007, Disney renamed Buena Vista to Disney Interactive Studios, then shut it down in 2016. That was the end of Avalanche Software until 2017 when Warner Bros. Acquired and reopened the studio. Ironically, its first game with that resurrection was Cars 3 Driven to Win. Even though Avalanche Software is technically the more established and experienced developer, Avalanche Studios is the one that has the greater prominence in the gamer conscience. Understandably so, as Hogwarts Legacy will be Avalanche Software's first non-Disney game since 25 to Life, a third-person shooter that came out in 2006. So as the saying goes, if you don't know, now you know. Hogwarts Legacy developed by Avalanche Software, not Avalanche Studios.
Got it.
So then who the fuck? They didn't. I love how all that they did not mention. I was waiting for it. Nothing about Contraband. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Now this is bugging me. Avalanche Contraband. Which one are we talking here? Okay, this is by Avalanche Studios. And Avalanche Studios is not the one who developed Hogwarts Legacy.
Right.
So I'm off.
Okay.
Avalanche, the other Avalanche that they own, did do something recently. Fuck, bro, my brain. What the hell is going on here?
So confusing.
Okay. Well, nonetheless, Cog, any extra thoughts you got on what's going on here?
Just terrible news. Terrible news.
Yep.
And I think we kicked this thing around. Yeah. And the industry, we in trouble, man. We in trouble, bro.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk next week. I'm sure there will be more that surfaces about it. But until then, that's what's going on with WB Games. Last little topic here. Game Pass pick of the week. I've got the selection. I'm picking a new edition here. I'm picking actually what I think is a perfect Game Pass game. We're going to go and look at old Ubisoft, actually. And we're talking about an interesting little game that came out that lets you play as any NPC in the world. That was a big sales pitch for many of us, myself included. We're talking about Watch Dogs Legion. Always had a little bit of a soft spot for Watch Dogs. I won't lie to y'all. You know, this is a world that when it was first revealed versus what we got, I understand there was a big difference, but I still really like Watch Dogs 1. I haven't played it since it came out, but I at least remember my time with it quite fondly. Now, Watch Dogs 2 was also pretty good. My favorite thing about Watch Dogs is just, as I've said before, causing that chaos from a mile out. But what's really interesting about Legion and why it might be worth a quick download and look is, number one, this isn't a typical Ubisoft game in that this is like a sub 20-hour game. Very short, like very bite-sized in the scheme of things. You're not there for the story. I couldn't tell you shit about it. But the crazy recruits that you can get as part of your Legion and how you'll just be walking around the world and you'll see them pass by, like that is real. And it is very cool. And just knowing that anyone is available to you to be brought onto your team, they have their own suite of abilities. And again, it does have that good mission design that Watch Dogs is always known for. I got to say, it is one of Ubisoft's more fun ideas. Because I remember when they first announced that, I was like, oh my God, there's so many opportunities of how they could go about this. I remember being so hyped when I saw it. Like the potential for this AI and NPC technology in future games is going to be awesome. That did not see fruition, I guess. But it is a fun enough game. Like I called it a diamond in the rough in my review. Like it is not perfect. It's very flawed, but it does one thing really well. And that's like mission design and like just a little bit of player creativity with who you want to assemble in your team. And because of that, I think it's a great Game Pass game. If you're looking for just like this kind of, I don't know, you're staring at a wall right now. You're like, man, I don't know what to play, even though there's tons of options right now. If you're looking for one on Game Pass, it's a little bit out of nowhere. I do think Watch Dogs Legion might satisfy you. You'll see things you know from the typical Ubisoft open world build, but it has some new, fresh ideas there that you really don't see in other games. And so for that, I appreciate it. I think it's a fun time.
I like that call out. I like that. I remember seeing it. I'm like you. Me and you have a soft spot for the Watch Dogs franchise.
Yeah.
You understand that it has its flaws, but I always felt like I had a good time still when I played it. And it's something cool about using tech from a distance and manipulating. And I remember Legion, it was around early launch title with the consoles. And I remember laughing at them, like having fun, like recruiting like a grandma and she's down with the squad. You know what I'm saying?
Like martial arts skills.
Yeah.
And stuff. She was awesome.
I thought it was funny. So yeah, man. That's a good one. That's good. That's a good addition. I didn't realize it was they added it to Game Pass.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun one and a little bit different from what we normally suggest. So check out Watch Dogs Legion if you're looking to get your hacker on. But nonetheless, Cog, that's our Game Pass pick of the week. We're done here. I feel like the hashtag has to be Fable.
Gotta be Fable.
Yeah, Fable DD. Yeah,
it's Fable DD.
Yeah, we'll see y'all in 2026. But Fable DD is the hashtag, so you can tag me on Twitter. I'm at G7Status. Cog is at Lord Cognito. If you don't go on social media, you can go ahead and tag us down below in the YouTube comment section, or maybe you're one of the many people listening to us on the go. In which case, have a great rest of your day. But Cog, any final thoughts as we wrap this one up?
Yeah, good to be back. Tons of news today.
Yeah, I know.
Damn, this was a news day. Like I was like, oh, it's gonna be light week.
It was looking that way.
At first, right? Yeah. We got a ton of stuff, and then we didn't even talk about it. I think there's GDC stuff going on. They make some down. There's so much going on, but it's good to be back in the seat. And again, talking games with the homie is therapeutic in the realm of the book. So I need that.
Absolutely.
See what's going on. And it was fun. I was catching your videos before. I was like, oh, this could be a fun one. Sure. I was like, oh, he got thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nah, it was fun, man. Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, this is so fucking stupid, bro. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. We'll be back next week for episode 218. Until then, take good care of yourselves. I'm going to bum a line off of Dagon. Go listen to your second favorite podcast. Peace out.
I like that.
Yeah.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.